bedroom shadows, cloaked and haunting me, cold hand touching me, fear overwhelming me, tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes, a breath on my neck, floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on, I wake up paralyzed. Ghostly apparition hovering over me, asking what it wants to know. I'm shaking now, it calls out my name, cloaked and haunting me, cold hand touching me, fear overwhelming me, tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes, a breath on my neck, floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on, I wake up paralyzed. Sirens of the Caspian Sea, the depths of the ocean we gather in splendor, sunken ships and treasure, luring sailors with our songs, hypnotic hymns, promises of bliss, whirling and twirling, the warmth of the ocean, spinning with souls in motion. Take caution, my friend, this could be the end. A mermaid's tale, your mortal soul frail, following ships in the night, catching glimpses, but can you trust your sight? In the water your blood will spill, hypnotized by your song of life, swirling and twirling, the warmth of the ocean, spinning with souls in motion. Take were stories never told. The souls of the sea are now caressing me. Your final resting place, the ocean, the sea, the murder of man. No one will ever find them. Swirling and twirling, the warmth of the ocean, spinning with souls in motion. Take caution, my friend, this could be the end. A mermaid sail, your mortal so frail.
The blackest of hearts, the vilest of thoughts, watching your every move. I'm obsessed with you. Twisted thoughts erupting, slowly decaying. My jealousy, my
That is our latest song, folks, called Envy. And it is not aimed at one particular person, but more of a group of people who do what they do. And it's about people that cause strife in the community. And believe me, we've seen a lot of it over the last, several months. Everybody wants to point the finger at this person, that person, but everybody had a hand in it. And, you get attacked, people attack people you care about. But we're not going to focus on that. It's a good song, though. It really is. It's about when people go bad, basically, and how you're not supposed to let that happen. But people do, and people take deals with evil. They make deals with evil, and they think, hey, you know what? I'm okay because I'm a good person. I'm a good Christian or whatever I am, and it's okay for me to be the way I am. And it's not. It is not. Just they think too that if they're saved, that they can say and do whatever, and then there's no consequences. It's like, you're going to just be fine. You can act as evil as you want. I've even had some of these people tell me that. They told me, they said, I heard you on your show say that you got to answer for everything. No, you don't. Not if you accept Christ. They're like, wow. Do you think that's it? You just say a prayer, and then everything you can do, everything bad you can imagine. And then you're still going to get into heaven where you get to eat a palace made of chocolate cake. That's not how life works. No, you will pay for everything you do. Great. Hang on one second, folks. We got a issue camera failure. But yeah, that's pretty much, the world doesn't work the way that people want it to. It works the way that it is. Now, I will say this: belief is a very powerful thing, and if enough people believe something, you can affect the change, or you can make something happen. You can manifest things. That's a very real thing. I think people ask me, they're like, "Well, Wolf, you said you could do this. You could do." Yes, you can. Yes, you absolutely can. But if you have two people believing in one thing and thousands believing in another, what do you think is going to happen? Another thing somebody told me, they said, the reason that gods or whatever God, whatever exists is because people believe in it. So that they've created a tulpa. I say this, there are tulpas that are created by people's beliefs. That's true. But I also believe that there really is a one true living God. I mean, there's just too much that's shown me that that's the real thing. But I think there's two different things going on. Let me bring my guests on. Guest co-host
Josh.
number one. This is Paranormal Among Us co-host or the host, Paranormal Paul. Calls himself Paranormal Paul. Is that what you want to go by?
Sure, that's fine with me.
That's what you want to be remembered as?
Yeah.
Paranormal Paul. Your final answer? That's what we're doing?
My final answer.
That's
my
your final answer.
Ranger.
All right. Let's bring on the beautiful Monica Rollins.
Hello.
I heard what you said last night. I was watching you. I was sitting there watching you, and I was watching with Nellie, and I heard you say, "I'll just be sitting there in the background." Like Nellie goes,
"That's okay with me.
You don't give her the platform." I said, "Yeah, because she's not intelligent like we are."
That's right.
Wow.
It's better just to keep my mouth shut and let people figure that out on their own, right?
I'm joking.
Wow.
We're just shots fired back if we're messing with you, Monica. We let Monica. It would be it's a different dynamic. Like tonight, I don't know if Abe is showing up or not. I think he's got something going on, but if he does, he does. So I don't know if he's going to take the link or what. I don't know. I think he might have something going on. He's been on a lot this past week, in the last 2 weeks anyway, at night. He's been doing like the night owl thing. And he doesn't get a lot of people to watch him while he's live, which you guys can go check him out. But the replays, he gets a lot of replays on there. He gets a lot of traction on the replays. So what we got tonight, it was very interesting. Like I was watching everything you were saying last night about the Aztecs. I've done a deep dive on them, and I've gone really deep. I've done a lot of research on the Aztecs. To me, I don't care what anybody says. There's going to be people that are going to check out automatically because I'm going to say this. Very warlike, brutal, not good people. Just not. I mean, there's not a lot to say. You can see they love to try to romanticize it, and there were blankets, they were danced around, and
well, I mean, they're ripping people's hearts out, so that's not like a cuddly culture to begin with, you know.
It goes way beyond that.
Oh yeah.
We could talk about that if you want. I mean, it goes way, way beyond that. Because there was a time of harvest where they needed the tears of their children so that they would walk them through this little sort of a canyon, and they would lob rocks down upon them. And the more that they were hit with the rocks, they would cry.
Sure.
And so before they were killed in that manner, that tears, they needed their tears. And then they did this lopping off of heads of these virgin maidens so that they could get the corn to grow. And they would spread their blood around the corn. And people are like, that's propaganda. No, it's not. It's not, because it's in their pictures of what they drew. And the other Indians, the natives around there that were enemies of them, had said, look, this is what they do. In particular, the Tlaxcalans, who were very pivotal in their role in the downfall of the Aztec Empire. This is actually history. And people they right now, though, you got this push from this counterculture where they think they're counterculture. They're really just going along with corporate media. And they're like, we're different. We're raging against the machine. No, you are the machine, and you're the parts that move it. And so here's Abe right here. Let me put him on. What's up, Abe?
Trying to figure out how to use this laptop, man. I think I need to download the StreamYard app on it.
Okay. Well, you could always come down to Austin, and we could eat dinner, and we could sit there and work with you on it. Yeah. So
I just did it on my phone.
Yeah, so you got to do what you got to do. I mean, there's a lot of things that we got going on in our lives, not the least of which is I had a really great conversation with Paul today. Folks, this is Paul Anthony, and we talked a lot about different things,
all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, different things, right? And so I've heard a lot of good things about Paul. Now, Monica and Abe said that you suck, and I was like, nah, come on. I mean, they were like, we want Joe. Who is this guy? You're gonna put him? It just.
They're probably right. You never know. You never know.
But I stuck up for you, Paul. I was like, y'all need to stop. You need to quit being ugly and mean to this guy. He's a good guy. They were like, I don't know.
I mean, that's what I'm known for, just being mean and vicious.
Josh, where do I send the check to?
You know what? If it's like the movie Mafia with the casino, they just the smart ones just mail a check to the casino. They don't go and actually play baccarat. Okay. So I need to give a shout out to Cervantes. He has a jewelry store in Lakeline Mall. and I kept forgetting to give a shout out to him. He's a really good guy. He did some work. I have not deviated from my original 2 jewelers in several years, but this guy did a really good job. And so shout out to him. He has a turquoise. I wanted a turquoise ring, and he got it done. So great, awesome thing. I love the stones. Abe is into those stones, and it works. I'm telling you, people think that it's some kind of and if you're a Christian or something, you're supposed to be like, don't touch the quartz, but yet they're looking at their phone, and I'm like, that's got it. I mean, don't do it. And my Muslim friends, they tell me not to wear gold because you're not supposed to wear gold, and I'm like, these things that y'all are believing is not. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm okay. I just whatever you want to do. If that's what you want to believe, that's fine.
I've never heard that, not wearing gold.
Yeah, in the Quran, you're not supposed to wear gold. And that doesn't say anything about silver, but I don't wear silver. And then, of course, that's because everybody knows I'm a werewolf because you can't wear silver. I don't like salt. So I'm a mythical being. So you can't have those things. I can't have silver around me or I'm joking, all right? And then my enemies are like, there he is. He admitted it. He said he is. He's right there. The false prophet Abe is right below him. Look at the TV. Look at the TV. Their eyes are changing into lizard people.
Those people are insane.
That's why Paul joined. Paul's a lizard too.
Yeah.
But the good thing, Paul, is you'll have 10 people out of 1,000 that'll hate your guts vehemently, and the other 990 will just be like, what is wrong with these people?
And I thought of getting some white contacts to wear on here tonight, but I thought maybe my first time, that might not be a good idea. What?
You should have had the ones with the slits, right? The lizards, the snake eyes.
Yeah, Breezy got some crazy contacts he wears sometimes, and everybody's like, look at that guy. Look at what he's doing.
I thought those contacts were cool.
My wife and I go all out on Halloween at our house, and decorations like crazy, but we never really dress up. Unless we're having a big party or something. And I did think about doing that one time, is getting those fake contacts and cat eye contacts and stuff. But that would be kind of cool.
And, I went into the 7-Eleven one day, and this woman, I kid you not, Anthony was with me. We walked in there, and it was me, him, and my brother. It was years ago. And this lady comes in, and she's like, I stood at the counter, and I was like, talking, whatever. And she's like, she reaches for my arm, which I thought was very weird. Most people at the counter, cashier, somebody grabs you. She's like, I want you to know you're very special and God loves you. And I was like, okay. And then I thought it was like a very profound moment. I'm thinking, wow, dude, this woman God gave her a message to give to me. Then she reaches down and she hands me a watchtower. I kid you not. I am not joking. And I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, the love of Jehovah is on all. I was like, okay, all right, thank you. I said, thank you. I pulled my hand away. I'm like, okay, can I pay for this coffee, please? Thank you. And she kept talking. I said, thank you. Good day to you, ma'am. And she goes, I will pray for you. I said, okay, keep the watchtower to the next person you're going to grab and touch and things. I was like, what the heck is that, dude? So everybody's got their own belief. So I didn't go in there for like a few months, and I went back in there, and she was there, and she was stocking. And I walked by her, and I thought, oh, that's the weird lady. She didn't say anything to me right away, but then she followed me outside, and she goes, I haven't forgotten. And I'm like, good God, that was like in the spring. This is August. What are you talking about? And she's like, I just want you to know I've been thinking about you. I'm like, what? Why? I said, why? And she's like, well, you have a very strong aura. I said, you can't do that if you're Jehovah's Witness. You can't be having auras and things like that. She goes, I know. Those are all bad things. I said, it's not bad things. You think it's bad because you've been taught that anything other than what you read from the Bible, which has been cut down, and then the book of knowledge. That's what they learned from. And I told her, I said, I'm going to pray for you and your deliverance from bondage. You're in bondage. Mm-hmm. And your mind has been bondage, and it's been castrated. And you will never learn if you're cutting yourself off for all these. People have this whole misconception of the reality of life. They don't understand it. They don't get it. And they think it's all this little, and they put themselves in their own little maze and they can't get out of it. And you got to realize something there. It's very sad. You have to pray for these people, really do pray for these people because they're in bondage and they're praying for you in their own way. So I wasn't ugly or mean to her, but at that point I was with Scorpion that day, and Scorpion, she was kept trying to grab my arm or whatever, and he's kind of like, "What are you doing?" You know, he's like going over there, and I said, it's fine. She doesn't, and she's like, "I'm going to pray for you too," and she hands him a watchtower. So we get in the car, and we're taking off, and we're driving a Crown Vic. We had a really good Crown Vic, and so I was like, just gotten it and was trying to, figure some stuff out. And I look over, it was like about 30 minutes, and he's reading that thing. Like intently reading it. Don't lie, Scorp. You know you were. And I look over, like, give me that, dude. I was like, I threw it out the window, dude. I said, dude, don't be reading that. And then he goes, you just did what you told her. Your mind is closed. And then he started laughing. I thought, okay, I hope he wasn't buying into it. And he goes, I'm kidding, dude. I'm kidding. I said, okay, well, you just, who knows? Because, that stuff, I've read the Book of Knowledge, and it gets very, it's just like sign, I'm not going to say the name of the other one, and you start reading and you're like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, what am I doing? Like, don't, because they'll sucker you in, and then they're like, yeah, Lord Xenu threw them in a volcano. You're like, oh, okay, you know what? We're good,
Sucker you in and won't let you leave.
That's right. And then if for a small nominal fee of $1 billion, you can find out that you were you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome. I've always wanted to be me. You were you, right? I was watching that show with the one with Leah Remini. Wait for some people to get into the chat, folks. And Leah Remini says, you know how she talks. She's pretty cool. I actually corresponded briefly with her. But she's like, you pay all that money so you can say you were you, so they can tell you that. She goes, I know I'm me. Do you know you're you? And they're like, yeah. Okay, that'll be $1 million. Like, and it's funny because that's what they do. Then they sucker you in. And every time I would go down, they have a place down on the drag here in Guadalupe, and they try to get you to take the IQ test. You take the IQ test, and they come to you and they're like, "You're full of thetans." I'm like, "What?" And so when I started playing around, they got real mad. I was like, I said, I've heard about this. I heard the heart of rock and roll is for Thetan. This dude's like, this is not funny, Mr. Turner. I was like, it is to me. I was like, do I get a sea captain hat? Because if I don't get a little sea captain hat, I'm not going to do this. And the guy was like, you're just full of jokes. It's sad. And I'm like, no humor in these people. They were like the androids from, what do you call that? The Star Trek, like Data, Data. They were just how they were. And I said, okay, well, I'm leaving, man. Thanks for the free IQ test and the coffee. I'm going to go. And they were like, nothing in life is free, sir. Even knowledge. I said, yeah, it is. You just make it be not free. That's what you do. And I told him, I said, you ever heard of Nikola Tesla? And he goes, the politician. I said, see, you're living in this world that you don't even know what you're doing. And he goes, goodbye, sir. And I hope to see you again. And when you wake up, I'm like, see you, buddy. I don't know whatever happened to the guy. I said, I'll pray for him. He goes, no, thanks. I'm like, okay. He never changed expression ever. It was just like there was nothing there. You couldn't do anything. They're in a cult. Mm-hmm. And people want to make these jokes about, it's a cult. You're in a cult. There's a cult. This is not a cult. I don't know any cult that you can just tune in whenever you feel like it and then tune back out. We should make it a cult, though. I think we should start. And Abe, you're in charge now. You need to call every single buddy that is part of PRT. There's almost 35,300 people. You need to get on that. Every one of them needs a phone call. You need to say you're past due. Look at this. Not one donation from our cult. What the hell is wrong with y'all? I mean, we're over here trying to make you drink the Kool-Aid, and you're not doing anything for us. Where's all the cash and the people that are supposed to love me?
Yeah, nothing's for free.
Nothing's for free. You heard it from the Gianetics. Gianetics says there's nothing for free. You remember? I don't know how old you are, Paul. I know Abe and Monica. You probably know. I'm 48 years old. I'm an old guy.
I'll be 52 this year.
52. So you're a little older than me. Mm-hmm. So you remember like they play that music, dun, 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 and then the guy, they would say the little saying, whatever, have you ever felt like you don't belong, but this is the blah, blah, blah. And then it says, find out in Gianetics. I'm not going to say the real name. And then they do the volcano, and you'd be like, some of them were kind of creepy. When I was a kid, I'd be like, what? And they would actually come on like right after G.I. Joe, which is this shirt. It's Artan, folks. He's not our cult leader, okay? They said he wears shirts to equal people. There it is. Zartan. Okay, go look him up. He's a demon from Samaria or some other crap they're going to come up with. So what ends up happening? You're like watching, and then you knew it was adult time because immediately those commercials would come on, and then they would tell you how to change your life. So they were doing that way back in the 80s when I was a little kid. I remember watching that and going like, "What in the hell is this?" And so my mother got one of those books. I got off the newsstand, and my dad came home, and I remember my dad looking at it and looking through it and was like, "What?" And then just literally going over and throwing it in the trash. And my mom never even noticed. So I guess it wasn't that important to her. And then years later, I was like, I asked my mother about it. I was like, what is that? I was like in my early teens or whatever. And she's like, it's a cult. Just like your cousins that live in Chicago. They're in a cult, which is Jehovah's Witnesses. Very adamant that we didn't pay attention or participate in that. But then again, my mother didn't let me watch Thundercats. You can ride your bike through the trails where people can abduct you. That's fine. As long as you come home before dark, you can go all over the place. You can be out on the highway. But you know what? You're not watching Thundercats.
They wouldn't know you were gone until the street lights came on and you didn't show up.
Pretty much. Thank you,
That's
Matt,
right.
for that donation. He says, here you hard ball out the gate. Do demons have feelings other than hate and malice? Yes, they do. In fact, it depends on who you ask about that. That's a good question. That's a good way to start what we're going to do. So what I want to do tonight is I want to get Paul to say a few things and get what you got going on. And then Monica, we can touch base on the Aztec thing. I wanted to talk a little bit about the giant. I forgot his name, but I think I put it on the show last night. It's a really hard to pronounce name. Starts with like a T or something like that.
They're all hard to pronounce names.
Yeah. But he was actually alive and fought. There were two of them who fought for the Aztecs. And the Spaniards reported that they could not penetrate their skin, and that they drank blood. And now everybody's like, "Oh, they had gigantism, and that's propaganda, and whatever else kind of woke crap we can think of." No, that's not. That is probably what was really happening because these ancient giants were a type of vampiric entity, and they don't understand this. This blood sacrifice stuff that goes on, that is actually them demanding it. That's what they wanted. And they used the priesthood to get it. And people don't understand that. They think it's not real.
They did it for the crops and for the weather. They told them to sacrifice a certain amount of people so they could get better crops.
They did
and better weather.
Yeah, they sacrificed them to the gods that, because each god was over crops, some were over the weather, some were over this or that. And they were sacrificing them to feed the gods essentially.
Yeah, but I think there was there were the Watchers / Anunnaki or Tapakulu.
Yeah.
That they were doing that, because that was already casted down. So that was making people kill themselves to collect the souls. Yeah. That's what I believe. Just like in all where there's ever a pyramid, whether it be in Mexico, they have so many of them. They were sacrificing them. They were basically deceiving them. Like they thought they were doing it for the crops and this, but it was really they're collecting souls. That's what they were doing. I feel sorry for the people, at that era. I mean, they had beheadings. They had, real bad. That's why I believe the earth got flooded worldwide to stop everything from happening. What was happening, which was, I guess, the demons were running wild all around the world. Especially in Mexico.
I'm sorry, what?
What do you think about what Abe's saying?
I really don't know what to believe about that because I am not particularly religious, and I'm not sure how I feel about the flood. I mean, personally, I think that the flood was a natural disaster. I don't know that it was something that was sent by God, like a lot of people believe. And I respect everybody's belief, but that's just mine. it is interesting that there are flood myths around the world, right? All these cultures that supposedly weren't in contact with each other have similar stories about a great flood, and that is interesting to me. And as far as fallen angels and the Anunnaki and all of that, I kind of oscillate back and forth between that could have happened, and no, I don't know how I feel about that.
It's understandable. What about you, Paul? What do you think?
I grew up Catholic, and as far as the the flood and everything, I don't really know. It was something that was pretty much forced on me, growing up, and I just kind of grew out of it and haven't really thought much about it since then. But from what everybody is saying, I honestly I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's hard.
My one question is, so the Aztec and stuff, do these sacrifices still go on in other tribes currently?
Currently now?
Yeah.
Well, definitely it's frowned upon, but I would say there's probably some places that are still doing some things. Yeah. I mean, but a lot of it revolves around magic, which is something that Abe and I have talked about extensively.
Yeah.
I will say this. I pointed out on another podcast years ago, and I got into it with the host. That show's not around anymore. Thank goodness the guy was terrible. He gets you on there, and I'm not joking, folks. This is not a joke. I am not playing games. This is not Chuckle House, although it sounds crazy. I found out 2 years later that the guy he was either smoking crack or he would get high on cocaine. I'm not joking. I'm being dead serious. And so his old partner told me, he goes, he would get lit, and that's why he would ramble. And he'd be like, I'm not going to say his name. I think Abe knows who he is. If I even said his little bit about Abe would know who he is. You remember him. He don't have a show anymore, but he would, and he's also a card-carrying communist. I didn't know that either. So he gets me on his show. The first time everything was fine. The second, and he like deteriorated, and he argued with me. And so somebody was in the chat, and there wasn't a lot of people doing the live streams. This was about 6-7 years ago. In this community, the live stream didn't blow up like it has now. Like everybody's doing a live stream, And I like to think I had something to do with that. I don't take full credit for it, but it was, we were doing it, and people were like, you should do this. When I got into this field, Paul and Monica and Abe, y'all are getting your channels, getting your stuff together. They would tell me, this is, quote unquote, the way to do things. This is how it's done. And then I would look at the people telling me that, and I'm going like, really? Because it's not really working for you. So why would you tell me to just follow the same broken ass thing that you're doing? And then when I would go on a deviate in another direction, they would call me up and be like, Josh, you're not listening. And I'd be like, you had 2 people in your chat. Goodbye. And then it became like, oh, you want to fight us, because you're on it when we are. And well, when can I be on? You can be on between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. on Monday morning. It's like, no, thank you.
Prime time hours.
Yeah, they don't give you much chance. And then they weren't really doing anything worth a crap. And then I noticed their numbers weren't very good. And so I go on this guy's show, and his plan was he had people in the chat to say things. He saw me as a threat, which he probably should have, because I was not coming for him. I just was, going to do what I was going to do. And he felt like he was inferior, and he wasn't doing anything. And then I found out he had a drug problem. I didn't know that at the time. And if you listen to that show, which I don't know if it's still around, if you can go back and hear the recording or whatever, but you can hear him like taking breaks, and he comes back and he's all, yeah. So literally he was doing that. I mean, and then when we recorded with him, we ended up having to dump it because my brother was doing the editing, and he goes, listen to this. And you can hear him. He was doing it while we were recording. And this is a true story. I'm telling you the truth. And so finally, years later, about a year or 2 later, his partner, who's still in the field, I don't deal with him either anymore, but he told me that he did that. And I was like, and you knew this? You knew this the whole time, and you're still dealing with him. No bueno. So what ended up happening? There was a show, and this guy thank you, Sugar Britches, for that donation. We appreciate it.
Oh, nice.
And so I couldn't believe that the questions that were coming at me, and they were like, well, and we got into the antediluvian period, the time before the flood. And this one person got real snarky, and they said, well, what do you believe about the flood? They were very atheistic based. And so what ended up happening was one person said, there was never a global flood all at one time.
Mm.
And I said, that is correct. But a large percentage of the earth was flooded. And they said, what percentage? I said, we could never answer that because, first of all, academia can't agree on the time of day, nor can the Christians, nor can the Muslims, nor can any of them. They can't agree with each other, much less outside of each other. And so I quoted the Quran, and I said, if you look at the Quran, it says that it wasn't a global flood. So then they used that against me. The fundamentalists came in, and Christians, and they said, you're the Muslim apologist, which I don't know what the hell that even, I really still even know what that really means. Then I said, what are you talking about? I'm using the various different books that we have, the Sumerian texts, the Christian Bible, the Jewish canon, go back and look at these books, the Indian canons, and they from India, and then of course the natives have their own versions of it. And there was a catastrophe that happened on a very large portion. Thank you for Liberty for that. Cult fee. Thank you. Cult fees have gone up, by the way, folks. They're 50 now. They're not 25. So we're going to need another 25 from you, Liberty. Wait, Liberty, you gave me a huge donation. We'll let you have a pass, but call everybody. Let them know to get on here and send in the money. I think better if you pay me. All right. That's just how I roll. You do the Bowser face. So, somebody told me that you look like Bowser. You look evil. And I'm like, I love Bowser. He's cool. And they're like, you would. I'm like, that's going to hurt my feelings. Look at this. You're talking about a guy who's wearing a G.I. Joe shirt and a Tom and Jerry hat. Do I look like somebody who gives a crap about your opinion of what cartoon character I look like? I really don't. I really don't give a crap at all. Right? I mean, I don't. But yeah, so what ended up happening, people were asking all these questions about the flood. They're trying to nail me to the wall, and he's like, well, you want to answer the questions? I wish I'd have known at the time. I'd have been like, yes, sir, cokehead. But I didn't at the time. I didn't know. So I was like, no, I can answer those questions. And after the show, I was like, that was pretty rough. It was like almost like a coordinated attack. It was my first go around. I'm really being hardcore attacked. I was like, everyone in the chat was pretty hostile to me. Kind of weird. We didn't even talk about Dogman. We just talked about the flood and religion and how stupid I was. And it's really crazy when you go into the remedial class and they're like, you're stupid. You're the stupid guy. You're the dumb one. And you're like, okay, wipe the booger off your shirt. But you're going to tell me that I'm stupid. How about that? They don't, and they're wearing helmets, but it's not football. So you're sitting there going like, what is wrong with these people? Well, you figured it out. I mean, they have the retardation, and you have to be, talk slow, small words. Don't exacerbate the situation. That's a big word. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just say, don't make that situation bad, boy. That's what you got to do with these people. And they're always like, I was out in the woods, and you know what? I saw the Bigfoot, and it was big. How are you going to tell me that is a ghost? Ghosts are not big. They are small. And they don't weigh a lot. Bigfoot is big and it weighs a lot, and its feet are big. I'm here to learn about the big feet. Now shut up. I worship the baby Jesus, and that's only on Sunday. Now shut up and let me drink my Pabst Blue Ribbon. You son of a bitch. So you got to back off and go, okay, all right. You know what? I'm sorry. You have the retardation. Let me, And so what ended up happening, I said some things that they didn't like. And then they highlighted it and they posted it on their Facebook like I'm the dummy. And then I had people from this community that like Scott Martis and Ken Garrett, a bunch of other people that were like, what is wrong with what he's saying? He's telling you like it's using reasoning and things like that. And they were just like, you're dumb as he is. Like, okay, that's fine. That's how they're going to be. And then I go to the ghost group, and there's some people in there using science to prove that seances aren't real. And I said, you could summon a demon just by saying its name. You don't need a seance. You don't need to hold hands, but you're not going to communicate with the dead. Do you think that that's your great grandpa that's coming through? No, it's not. In fact, that demon knows exactly what it's doing because it's coming through. And these people are so unprotected. I told one lady, I said, if you're moving into a new place, get some rock salt and put it in the corners of your house. And there was dead silence. And she goes, yeah, I'm not into witchcraft. And I'm like, shit. That's not witchcraft. I said, I bet you think courts are evil too. She goes, well, we're not supposed to use magic stones. I'm like, oh my God. I said, okay. I said, you're fine. You're fine. Do whatever.
That's why they're seeing Bigfoot in their house.
Yeah. That's why the big feet come into your domicile.
I heard one where she said, I seen a Bigfoot in the woods, right? And I said, what'd you do? I said, I went home. And then she calls me like 2 weeks later and says that the Bigfoot was living in her living room. I said, it's not a Bigfoot that's in your house. No. It's a demonic entity or unclean spirit that you're seeing that was manifested to look like a Bigfoot. And you believe this was a Bigfoot, so it attached itself to you and it went inside your home. And I told her she had to cleanse her house to get rid of it, you know, and she did that, took authority, and all the things that were happening in her home stopped. She was seeing it in her living room. She was seeing it in her bedroom, but it was, you know, demonic. That's what this, you know, this, I always tell people, put it to the test. If you think it's something, I put it to the test when I was going through what I was going through in Elms Grove, whether they're manifesting to look like a werewolf, or we know lycanthrope, or, you know, a Bigfoot, or a deer woman, a shadow figure, because they were coming at me like in all kinds of different manifestations, but I always put it to the test. I would say, I tie, bind, and rebuke in Jesus Christ's name. When I would do that, they would disappear. Sometimes it smelled like sulfur, and sometimes it would smell like pestilence. But that's what you got to do, put it to the test. Can't believe in what you're seeing because it's not what it's showing you to be. I gave it a little bit of belief when it appeared like 4 or 5 times looking like a werewolf. And that's the opening he used to attack me spiritually. Then it stopped showing itself to me, and I started getting attacked by an unseen force. Something, you know, where I could be walking in the park and I hear footsteps running towards behind me, and I get hit. I fly 4 or 5 feet, tumble and roll, get my guards up. There's nobody there. Got shot off the cliff, a ridge, by an unseen force. So it's like, what opening do I have that they keep on, you know, they're coming at me? Mm-hmm. So I had to think real hard, you know, and I was thinking, and I remember I had unforgiveness, which was a person that when I was in 5th grade came at me with a machete. You know, it was a man I was trying to help because he was supposedly sick. Him and his wife were sick, and I got volunteered from the church to go cut the grass and fit the goats he had. Well, that guy had passed away, and I hadn't forgiven him. So once I forgave that guy, the only reason I knew it was him is because one of those manifestations that it took when it went through a tree, then he started flying in the air. It was laughing like that guy. I recognized the laugh. So then I remembered about him. So I forgave him. He was already deceased. He's been deceased for a long time. I forgave him. And the day that I forgave him, it's like all the things that were happening to me just ceased because I severed the spiritual opening it was using. You know, I always tell people, if you're fear, they're going to have power over you. If you're believing in them, they're going to have some kind of power over you. You got to do the opposite, you know, of hatred. You got to maintain your love foundation. But yeah, it's like if people have, you know, back in the days, you know, when we're talking about the pyramids, you know, people were kind of like savages, you know, back in the day, you know. You could say maybe some of those people were demonized, that were being bonded and being controlled in that manner for, you know, I mean, who in the right mind is gonna just give in to whoever's in charge and let them kill their family members the way they were
Look at
getting
communism.
killed?
Communism did it in droves, the NKVD, which became the KGB, and they did it up until the 80s, you know.
But I'm saying like anybody like you, like us, you know, anybody that, you know, that loves our family, you know, we're not going to let anybody, we're going to put a fight, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that a lot of those people were being literally spiritually bonded. They were being controlled. And it's like, give you examples of that. When somebody just goes and jumps off a bridge, jumps off a building, jumps in front of a car, take their lives. It's like, what are they doing that for? What is happening in their lives? Did they have a spiritual opening where something literally possessed them and they just took control of their body and that's it? They're gone. You know, I feel that for that many people to die the way they did back in the day, it had to be dealing with some kind of spiritual bondage of possession of that kind of way. You know, that's what they were being taught, which was a bad way. And you know, if it's bad things were being taught, murder, what should I say, sacrifices, there's nothing good there to protect the people.
So, Abe, to interject here just a minute, and I want to get everybody's opinion on this, what we're going to talk about here in a minute. Spillin' Tea, one of our moderators, says, what does pestilence smell like? I'm going to answer this question, and then if you disagree, you guys can all chime in and what you agree. We'll go around the horn. Paul, maybe you dealt with this before. You're into ghosts and things like that. You know, what I've experienced is the pestilence that Abe is talking about. It's like a sickly, sweet smell. That's one, and then the other one is it kind of smells like a garbage, like hot garbage. And I'm not joking; it really does. And these evil spirits, it talks about these evil spirits in every holy book on earth, every one of them, and it talks about how they live in pestilence and in sickness, and in they take over spaces that are dirty and nasty, and in particular where humans don't dwell anymore, where things have fallen into disarray and decay. They just kind of inhabit that area because they don't have to your energy doesn't interfere with their space. Paul, what do you think of that statement?
I haven't experienced it myself. I mean, really the only smell that I've experienced that come through one time was my father's cologne.
Wow.
But and that was Old Spice. But you know, from the stories that I've heard from people I've had on the show, it's sulfuric. Just kind of.
But that's not the pestilence smell, though.
Yeah.
But that sulfuric, I do believe, is connected to the demonic. But go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the majority of the stories that I've heard, that it's more of a sulfuric. I can't say the word. Smell. Yeah.
So Paul's wrong. Go ahead, Monica. You're next.
Well, I don't.
There's no wrong or right, Paul. Only wrong. There's only wrong.
I don't know that I've experienced that type of entity before, but I would imagine pestilence. Yeah, it would smell like a rotting smell, like decay.
Rotting flesh.
Decay for different things smell different ways. I think it depends on how this thing is probably manifesting as to which type of decay you're experiencing. But it would be, like you said, Josh, like rotting garbage, or it could even be like the very sweet, sick smell of death, right? That really putrid odor almost.
Mm-hmm. Going into an embalming place, my friend was a DJ years ago, and he got a job as a mortuary. And I don't know why, but Squid and D, my brother and our friend Squid, and Squid sometimes watches the show. You know, this is true. Don't try to lie. Bunch of weirdos. And they were like, "Hey, this place is haunted. Let's go check it out." I'm like, "Hey, our house is haunted. We don't need to go somewhere to check it out." And then when they told me what it was, I'm like, why would you want to go there? Because he said that we could go down into and it was another friend of ours that was supposed to take us over there. And that thank you, Venture Security, for that donation. Appreciate it, man. Yeah. We are stacking our ends to get some good camera equipment, and we've gotten some ready to go. We're just going to have to hold on, do what we got to do, because we don't know legally what these people are next move. So, but my lawyer's really cool. He's not even like balking. He's just like, dude, these people he's like, literally, let them talk. They're doing all the work for us. They don't need to dig at all. I mean, So I shouldn't have said that, but maybe they'll stop. But then again, don't. Just do what you got to do, man. Keep letting it rip. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. We're trying to, because we want to do some nighttime investigations, and after May, work is going to slow down a little bit. So I might have time to breathe, and then I can do some things. But anyway, we go to a mortuary, and this guy takes us to the embalming area, and I'm not interested in this at all. And my brother and me and Squid all kind of were like, it wasn't as good of an idea as we thought. We thought, because, we had this EMF, those EMF readers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So Squid had gotten one online. This is like, years ago. And we were going to go in there, and he's like, yeah, we're going to see if there's a ghost in here. Because he thinks it was working at the house. He was figuring it out, right? And his ex-wife was like, and she's still my friend to this day. She was like, y'all need to get one of those readers, whatever. Her name is Shonda. Shout out to her. And I don't know if she even remembers telling us this, but we did. And then we were like, it was going off. And I was like, I don't like that, dude. I mean, I used to watch the Ghostbuster cartoons. I knew what that meant when Egon would do that. Yeah, I was like, nah, I'm good. We're good with that. And so we go to the mortuary, and then I didn't last maybe 5 minutes, and I walked out. I said, I'm not interested in this. I don't want to look at this or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, this weirdo that we worked with, he really was a weird guy. I'm not even going to say his name. He was all into it. He was like wanting to take pictures and stuff. This is back when, the early days of these cell phones were with cameras, and he was trying to take pictures and stuff. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, it was just weird. I didn't really like it, but that thing was going off. And then that night, my brother and a couple other people, after the club, everybody had gone to work. Whether we come home, not me. I ended up crashing out on the couch playing PlayStation, but they said they had nightmares. And it was weird because 3 people had the same nightmare of the same guy. Really weird. And it looked like the guy that was laying there, When I walked in and I saw it, I was like, I said, and my friend, he worked there. He was just like, I don't care if you guys want to show up or whatever. And I never thought, I was like, this is nuts. I never went back. And then they were like, well, that place is haunted. Well, no shit. It probably is. It's probably got all kinds of crap going on. If you watch that, and then, of course, John Zaffis has talked about it at length, the haunting in Connecticut, right? Mm-hmm. And Zaffis, who's a veteran, been around this stuff a lot for a long time. And he was like, that was the most terrified I'd ever been in my life. He broke the cardinal rule, which is when you're dealing with these demonic infestations in these houses or these buildings, you don't separate. You don't separate. That happens a lot too. You watch these shows and they're like, I'm just going to go out on my own over here and get attacked. And you're like, this is either staged or you have the retardation. I don't know why you would do that. And or then they're like, well, go ahead, Paul.
Or they'll send somebody in a room by themselves. You're vulnerable right now. I want to see what happens to you. Not me. I'm going to be on the other side in the camera with a bunch of other people.
There's 5 of us on the other side rooting for you. We're really cheering that, you'll come back with all your digits and your eyes. But if it doesn't, just remember, it was for a fairly okay cause.
It was for TV ratings.
At least 1,000 people are going to watch this on TV before they change the channel during the tour.
They do the opposite. They run scared.
Exactly.
They're like they challenge the demon to enter to fight them.
Oh yeah.
The guy with the bifocals. I can't remember his name, but
Don't say his name. Don't say his name. They'll be attacking me next week. I don't need.
Oh
shit! Giving me
that guy,
why are you talking about me?
I challenge you. Then the following season, he's got this bifocal eyes where he said that the demon attacked him and he went blind or something. They're like, come on, bro.
They take their shirts off and they're like, "What's up, bro?
It's all for
my wife's point abs. What's up, man?"
It's all for show. They do it for the viewership, man. They do the opposite. When I go investigate, I go by myself. You they do the opposite. They do the opposite.
Take Paul with you. Paul wants to go.
I'll go.
Be scared.
I'll go.
He'll go.
I'll take you to the area where I go to. There or to Elms Grove.
Paul, where do you live?
I live in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
St. Louis, Missouri.
Texas.
Yes.
Because honestly, folks, let's count the ways here. Joe, Abe, and Monica and me, we're all from Texas, and that wasn't by design. I just chose some people I thought would be good to work with. I think we did a good job. And then we got Lyle, Ken, Nick was here, but he moved back to England, at least temporarily. He said he might be coming back. We got Daniel Jones. We got Christopher Jordan. I mean, we got everybody from Texas. David Weatherly, you know. I mean, we got everybody here in Texas. What's his name? Rod Nichols. Down in San Antonio, you got Ryan Edwards, you know. I mean, this is where it's at. Sibylla Irwin.
Yeah.
I mean, who else? I mean, Texas is where it's at. I was talking to Lauren Coleman the other day, and he was like, you know, we were talking about the museum and the figures and all that. And he goes, Josh, do you have any of your friends that aren't from Texas? I said, you? I said, you and a handful of others, Lauren. It's not a whole, I mean, because honestly, the cool people are from Texas. That's my excuse. I just said, look, no offense, Lauren, you're a very cool guy, but you're not from Texas. It's a Texas clique. You know, we got to, and he's like, the whole part of one of that, it's like Texas. Then he has Kenny Irish and Barton Nunley. And I said, okay, hey, you got two people, you know, and then you got Martin and Daryl. They're from Tennessee. You know, you got a few people that aren't from here. BMR, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, he's not from here. And then you got Tex, obviously, is from Texas. So.
Yep.
And then you got the Blondes and Booze, and then there's you, Paul. There's Rivas, who's for some reason living down in Mexico under an assumed identity. I don't mean whatever he's doing down, that's fine. I told Ryan, I was like, are you hiding out? Are you in the witness protection program? You're not doing a very good job of hiding, sir. You need to be
now
a little more inconspicuous. Batman has to have another identity.
Tom Franklin lives in Mexico, and he's off the grid, so he would be the one that would be hiding as well.
So it'd be Tom Franklin, but Rye lives down there too.
Yeah,
you know, and yeah, but it's a weird thing because like there's a lot of us from Texas, a lot of us. That's why there was this one dummy that has a show. I'm not even going to mention his name, but he tried to make this thing for his listeners that Texas was a food desert. So there wouldn't be any Dogman or Bigfoot in Texas. They go all the way around Texas and then go down to Louisiana where he's at.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, yeah, you're full of shit, dude. Okay.
I like that crawfish.
The food. I said, that's the dumbest food thing I've seen since the food pyramid. Or Richard Simmons deal-a-meal cards. I was like, this was dumb. It was so dumb. You know, and I was talking to another podcaster who's pretty well known, and he's sort of friends with that guy. So I don't want to say anything. And I said, he goes, well, I heard that the Texas is like a food desert. I said, have you been? And he said, no. I said, dude, that's because this guy is full of crap. And some of his listeners are just as stupid if they believe that. I mean, look how fat I am. Do you think that I got this extra roll down here from there's a food desert going on? No, it's not happening. Of course, I'm not out in the woods attacking deer, but they're everywhere. Mm-hmm. There was one laying in the road the other night, Anderson Mill, last night when we were doing our patrol, and we almost ran him over. He was laying there, deceased, poor thing. And she had been hit by a car, but they're all over the place. They run around through our yard. They're in our yard. You walk out, and they're just right there. I mean, yeah, we live in a food desert, dude, for sure. That's absolutely correct, dumbass. But no, that's not correct. And so, yeah, that's where we're at, though. I mean, Texas is where it's at. So I'm suggesting to you, Paul, that you need to move down here. Now, Texas. I will do this. If you don't have a job, I have a friend who can get you a job. You know, so just let me know if you want to work.
Very interesting.
I mean, yeah. It is working out in a field picking beans, but hard work is its own reward. Hard work is its own reward. His name is Juan Valdez. He's moved up here from Colombia.
Jeez.
Every day in the early morning, Juan would go out there, and instead of picking cocaine like all of his amigos, he did the good thing and he picked coffee. He didn't want that big money. He said, I like having a burro. You drive your new Bronco, I'm going to ride my burro.
Hang on a second. I got to text my wife. We're moving to Texas to work for Juan Valdez. Hang on.
Morals, Paul. It's all about the morality, right, guys? It's morals. Every morning in the Colombian morning, he picks up the bean. You know, like, yeah, whatever.
No, it was, so we're talking about the goo and the pestilence. What I would witness there in Elms Grove, because I was being spiritually targeted, I would find traces of black residue, like where I would see a shadow figure standing. When I would pray against it and it would leave, I would find like black slime goo on the ground. And I would find it all throughout my house, sometimes outside my home. So I had to clean it up, you know, and it smelled nasty. Kind of like the pestilence that I'm talking about, the smell the stench that it will leave, like the black goo, it smelled like sewer, you know, like nasty, real nasty. My I witnessed it, and of course the rest of my family witnessed that too, because my sister lived with me and my nephews and nieces, my son. So things like that would always happen, the goo, or outside the home, urination on the doors, on the sliding door, and on the vehicles, like something was marking its territory, But it's because it wanted me to believe it was something real, But
it is real, but it's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
And Monica, are you a ghost person? Like, are you into ghosts? Is that your thing?
Yeah, I have been my whole life.
Okay, I knew that. I just wanted to ask because it makes it look like
reiterate.
I'm like, hey, do you have this? Do you
think
eat
maybe
and drink and breathe? Do you breathe? It's not like a guy. It's not like somebody's hitting on you. You're like, hey, I notice you have hair. So do I.
Like eat?
Okay. You're in this bar. I'm in this bar. We breathe air.
It's meant to be.
Yeah. It's just natural. It's what's supposed to happen. Like, no, seriously, that just sounded weird. No, you're into ghosts. Okay, let's put it that way. I don't even know why I worded it that way, but you're into ghosts, but that's not. Is that your main thing? Because I think cryptids kind of was the second base for you, right? That was not your first base.
Yeah, no, cryptids wasn't necessarily my first base. Really, like anything odd, out of place, whether it's ghosts or, growing up where I grew up, kind of Bigfoot legends, and, you always get interested in the Loch Ness Monster, those kind of things. But like I was led into it through experiences, right? So I would say the bulk of mine were paranormal in nature. And I just kind of fell into the cryptid thing.
And so do you, and I know what Abe's stance is on this, but you, Paul and Monica, we'll start with you, Paul and Monica. You can follow it up. What are your thoughts on the cryptid ghosts? Like what are they, not like a cryptid ghost, but like them two being pretty much in the same genre? Or do you think it's something totally separate? And there's no wrong answers. I'll be pissed, but who cares? Look, no, I'm joking, Paul. Seriously, you've watched the show, right, Paul?
Oh yeah.
I mess around, right?
Exactly.
Shit, right? Okay, so but go ahead.
Before I answer that, my wife gave me an answer. No.
Just one word.
No, to move to Texas. Sorry.
Those were dogs, Paul. Why are you trying to tell you that that's your wife? That is not your wife, sir.
The one on the bottom. See it on the bottom.
That was also a phone. And you're going to say that that's your wife.
No, she sent me a text.
You're a weird guy, dude. This okay. That's your first strike, Paul. Lie number one. Do not do it again. That's all I am saying.
I said text.
I was like, what the?
Me up, dude.
What was I'm messing with you, bro.
I know.
So what
was the question again? What was the question again?
And right now, people are like, I hate Josh Turner. I hate him so bad. He don't even care. He don't even give a damn.
The ghost of Juan Valdez is going to be upset.
He's gonna coffee beans complain. I have a weird story that happened to me at the haunted tower that involved coffee beans. I can tell you that. I told it on the haunted tower, but people can go back and listen. But it was like real quick. Okay, came out of the penthouse area, and there was a one of those little plastic rolling carts that's got the top shelf and then the bottom one that they use in restaurants. Mm-hmm. Okay, it was the Quorum Club at one time, and it was supposedly notoriously haunted. Yeah, it was. And I went upstairs, and I come back down out of there was something on the door. And the door, you could see, it was like a little glass, and I was looking, and I was like, what is that plastic cart there? So I thought for sure, my first night there, right? I thought a human being had come. One of the guys that worked there was trolling me, messing with me, or the field captain had done it. And I was like, why would Antonio, it's a field captain, why would he do that? This is weird. So then I started pushing on the door, and I gave up. And I went up and I radioed the field captain. I said, hey, dude, somebody put a cart there. I can't open the door. So I go back over there and I look, and it's pushed away a few feet. And it was crazy. And so when I opened the door, there were coffee beans spilled all over the ground. But when I had walked up to that cart earlier, there was like the coffee beans had been sitting there so long that they were molded and all stuck together. And now they were fresh and they were all over the ground. I talk about it on the haunted. I believe I talk about that. Very weird thing. But anyway, moving on. So you guys, I mean, like, what are your opinions on that about cryptids and ghosts? Are they in the same category for you guys?
I don't think so. I think
No?
ghosts are a separate category. I mean, they're, not physical being. They're and the Dogman and Bigfoot. I think they're more of a flesh and blood, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But then how do you explain them moving from point A to point B in a split second?
It is weird. It's a weird thing.
Is it portal? What is it? But I think I think they're completely separate.
And you, Monica, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I do think that, similar to Paul, that, yeah, they are separate, right? But just like Paul, I agree that, there are things that happen in stories that I hear that don't really fit the narrative for a flesh and blood creature to be able to do, right? So I do believe that there are flesh and blood Bigfoot, there are flesh and blood Dogmen, but that's not necessarily what everybody is seeing every time. We talked about things mimicking, the looks of certain creatures or people. And I think that, when we're experiencing something that pops up out of nowhere, it very well could be a spirit or something mimicking, what it knows you're going to fear. Because in my encounter, where did that thing come from? I keep going back to that. Like when people ask me this question, I was in the middle of a pretty big city. There's nowhere for that thing to hide, but it just, popped up like a daisy, kind of in the middle of a residential area in a major metropolitan city. And I don't have a rational, explanation for where this thing came from and where it went after that. There's not that many places for something that large to just hide.
Yeah.
At the time that you seen it, was you going through something like, was something happening in your life? Like,
well, it was maybe a year, 2 years after my son was killed.
So that right there, I mean, I don't want to, but something like that, because it could have been because you're connected to your son through the love you have for your son, in which maybe a spirit's trying to contact you, but something was still coming at you because you're part of the bloodline.
Right.
So it showed itself to you. I mean, I lost my mother when I was 15, and I witnessed something in that nature. Hellhound with red eyes and the Hat Man with the red eyes on the day that I was looking for my mother, that she had got murdered. So I can relate to you, and I'm sorry for you losing your son.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry about your mother. That's terrible. That is terrible.
Yes. But what people don't understand is when there's things happening, like maybe arguing or somebody's on the wrong path or violence, if the head of the household are being bonded, then these unseen forces that I call demonic or clean spirits, they come because they just don't want. They already have the head of the household bonded. They want to take over everybody.
Well, I think you're in a situation where there's a lot of strife or just really heated emotions, then I think that you open yourself up to negative entities to take advantage of that.
Yes.
And that's why I don't think that, when people see things in graveyards, I don't think it's the people there. Just like, Josh, you said you were, in the mortuary. If there was anything there, it is not the spirit of that man that was on that table.
Yeah, it was something mimicking it, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it was him.
You think it was the guy on the table?
I think he just got up and was like, Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello. No, I'm joking. It was.
Did they
I don't
put him on
know.
the Rich Show from Young
Yeah.
Frankenstein?
He's just like, I'm going to run. Like, oh wow, that's cool that you can animate corpses. Well, goodbye, and I leave because that's what I would do, regardless if it got up and walked around or if
Well-
it laid there.
I mean, yeah.
I didn't know what we were doing there. I asked these guys, I was like, why would we agree to this with this guy? The guy's name was
Well,
Chris,
what-
by the way. But I didn't talk to that guy anymore. He was weird. And I said, who does that? Who wants
One
to
of the
invite
thing-
you to the mortuary? And why would you want to go? And Squid's like, well, I wanted to use this. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, good. That's weird. I mean, who does that? We're not. Are we serial killers? You know, come on.
I had to forgive the people that everything that happened in my life with my mother. I had to forgive people because, you know, I had hatred, I had anger. The only thing I didn't do is distance myself from the Heavenly Father. But you know, I had to forgive those people to get rid of the hatred and the anger. That's not a good feeling, having a black heart. But I had to forgive in order for me to not just move forward, but that's something that Jesus Christ would want us to do, to forgive, because that's part of love, you know. And you don't know, like I said, I was mentioning where people would just jump in the middle of in front of a vehicle. You don't know what's going on with them.
Mhm.
That they could be being used in a negative way to do something negative. And they say, I don't remember doing this or whatever, you know. I didn't do it, but they did it because they were being used that way. You know, they had a spiritual opening. They could be used that way. That's why it's important to forgive. You know, when Jesus Christ, when he was on the cross and he said, don't forsake them. They don't know what they do. To me, when he said that, is because we're being demonized, you know.
And that's
If
not
it's
an easy thing to do. I mean, you understand, like if somebody hurts, you know, somebody that you love very much, that is not an easy thing to do. It's
Yeah, and not only
I
that,
can't
but
imagine
it was.
it. No.
And Abe has talked about this on the show. It was his own father, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, and you had to
just
forgive
put it
him
this
and-
way. I could talk about it. That's why the day all this happened, you know, there was already things happening before because there was arguments, there was things happening when we go work up north in Lubbock, where I started seeing these dark shadow figures with red eyes. They were big. They looked like, people call it Bigfoot. And this is in between Anton and Littlefield and by Lubbock, where we go work during the summer in the cotton. And this surrounded the ranch where we were staying on had pine trees around, right? So you see all these shadow figures. One time they came, they were pretty big, and they were looking at the home. And I was telling my mother and my dad, because they were arguing that there was something out there. And next thing you know, they come and they're around the house. You can see them peeking through the windows and everything, you know, and they go into prayer. She goes into prayer. I go into prayer. But, you know, it's like they were still around in shadow figure form, you know. I got elevated. I was asleep. I woke up. I had a dream that I was falling down, and I imagined something soft so I can bounce. So when I woke up, my face was pressing against something, and I thought I landed on the ground, you know, on the floor. When I opened my eyes, I was elevated to the ceiling, and my face was being pressed on the ceiling, and I got dropped. Something just let me go, and I fell down to the ground. My brother was on the bed because we're sleeping in the same bed. It was like a king size bed. He jumped out. He got scared and he took off running when I was up in the ceiling. So, you know, when I speak about this, it's because I went through it and I experienced it. You know, what I'm trying to say is we have to forgive because that's a spiritual opening. You know, just like I had to forgive that guy with a machete. You know, but yeah, the day that everything happened, my dad, when he came back, they had gone to the drive-in, right? Y'all know what drive-ins are.
We do.
They had gone to
You know?
they had gone to a drive-in, you know, and I seen some signs, you know, because I was spiritually. My mom looked kind of pale from the face, and she just said, "Hey, come home early," but she looked a certain way, like she knew something was going to happen. All I know is that the police came. There was first what do you call it? The coroner came. They were dropping the body bags on the ground. I opened the door and I'm like trying to figure out why they're dropping body bags in the front yard. So they see me to start putting them back in the coroner van, and they took off. You know, next thing you know, a cop car comes and they said it's the woman of the house there. And but before the coroner, something happened before that. Was my dad came, you know, he opened the door and he had his sleeve cupped off. He had the purse, and I said, "Pop," and he just growled at me, like a growl, and he just dropped the purse and took off. When he took off, he went and he already took in her life. He went and total wrecked 2 police cars, like with the policemen in them. They came. They said they were looking for her, so I went on my bike, and that's how I encountered those things. I prayed to Jesus Christ to guide me to where she was, and you know, he did. Which it was out there in the country by a bridge. You know, I stopped on the bridge and I could hear like some moaning, you know, and I started going towards the moaning, but then I seen something stood up. It went from the ground up, and it was that hat man with the red eyes, pretty tall. Like I guess like I'm like 5'9", so it had to be like over 7 foot, and it was looking at me, and I was looking at it. So there was a light there too, so I could see it very clearly. So I'm looking at it, it's looking at me, and then it just starts gliding at me, like it's off the ground, just gliding towards me. So I get on my bike and I start riding back into town. I'm like half a mile into town, so I'm riding as fast as I'm going through this road that's got a lot of potholes, and I'm looking back, and he's coming behind me, you know. So our city had like irrigation system around. As soon as I crossed our irrigation system, I stopped to look. And when I look, it's not the hat man no more. What I witnessed was a hellhound, was all black with red eyes, and his tail was sticking straight up in the air, but it wouldn't cross the underground irrigation system that was underneath the street. So I'm looking at it, it's looking at me, and it turns around. It doesn't run. It's leaping like 10, 15 feet, leaping, you know, like moving real, like in covering a lot of ground real fast with one leap. So I drive, I ride my bike it's a 10-speed bike. I ride it home to the house. My aunt is there, and she's like freaked out, and she's like, get everybody, let's go. She's like freaking out, you know, and I'm trying to figure out why she's freaking out. So we you know, I got my little sister was 3 years old, and she's like, don't let me touch the ground, you know. I was like, she could see or sense something, so I picked her up, and we left the house. When we got to my aunt's house, I said, why are you scared? And she said that when they got there, they seen a what seemed to be a monkey on the tree with red eyes. So that's 3 different entities, right? To me, they're from the same demonic of nature with red eyes. You know, we go over there, and I'm outside, and this cold breeze comes, and some cold water hit me in the face, and it starts pouring, you know, right there. And then I knew that my mother wasn't here no more on earth. Then they got a phone call from the police, you know, they needed somebody to ID the body.
Oh.
So I ID'd it, you know, with a picture, you know. I didn't want my aunts to see that, you know, but I ID'd her. You know, all the things that I talk about is because it happened. It's I've seen it, I witnessed it, you know. The following day, I got a priest, Catholic priest, to go to the area. He said he was there the night before, and he said he would take me there. So he stopped on the little irrigation system where the hellhound was. He went forward, and he stopped by the bridge, and he was like, I know it's here somewhere. And he's looking to the left and the right. Oh, yes. He crossed onto that dirt road where the dark shadow figure was, a hat man or whatever. He passed that, and it was like maybe from where it was standing, it was probably like 7 feet away from there. There was a ditch. So I prayed to the Heavenly Father to take me to where she was at. And ever since then, because I prayed to the Heavenly Father and he took me there, I believe in him 100%, you know, no shadow of a doubt, because I could have gone anywhere, you know, in that town. But I didn't take no U-turns, no nothing. It was just took me right there to the spot. You know, I was following my my spiritual instinct, like my connection to my mother spirit, and it took me to the location in which, because we're all connected spiritually. So, it happened so long ago that I can talk about it, but it's, everything that I speak of is true events because I went through it, I experienced it,
So my wife had a Hat Man experience here in this house that we're living at now. But the one question that I have for you both, the red eyes, is that the demonic nature of something? And then I'll tell the story after.
Well, I'll let her answer that, and then I'll give you an answer what I think.
Okay.
I think it's certainly plausible. I mean, nobody's going to see red eyes in the dark and think something nice,
right?
And I don't know that the stories that I've heard where people are seeing, an entity that has red eyes attached to it, it's not a positive experience. So I would think, it's definitely got the negative attachment to it.
Right.
Yeah, when you think about red eyes, right, you think about Bigfoots, because people say they have red eyes. The Mothman had red eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow figure the Hatman has red eyes. Hellhound have red eyes. So in a sense of way, they're like some kind of, I would say, soul collector. In Chicago, when all those killings were happening over there a couple of years back, they were having sights of Bigfoots, Dogman, Mothman, and shadow figures when it was a black on black crime. I think the surface up when there's something tragic, and they're there to collect the souls of whatever they can collect. They cause I would assume that they're part of what has to, of everything that happens, to be there to try to collect, so, I always thought to myself, if I was there, I interfered a little bit, and I prayed, I was praying when I was riding the bike, that maybe that I caused some kind of interference so the heavenly angels would come and assist, my mother, that's, in which when somebody dies in that way, they become fragmented souls. You have to pray for them, honor them, like light up a white candle on the day of when everything happened, honor them and pray for them. And we have to do our part also, as we're still alive, and to pray for them, But yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. So my wife's encounter, it was in the middle of the night. I happened to be working overnight at the time, and we had 2 cats. And anybody that's ever had a cat, when the cat starts to throw up in the middle of the night, that sound. You're up out of bed trying to get them off the bed or whatever, trying to get it cleaned up. So we have a 2-story house, and from the main level, it goes up a flight of stairs. There's a landing, and then it turns and comes up another flight. So she's taking care of the cat puke and everything, and she has her back to the stairs. She turns around, and she sees this entity coming up the steps. First, obviously, the bottom flight of stairs, she could just see the back of his head. As he turns around and comes up, she doesn't see any facial features or anything, no red eyes or anything. And as it gets closer to her, it just kind of evaporates and just goes away. Luckily, thank God, and this was probably 15 years ago, I think. Nothing demonic happened from this. I mean, no death or anything. My wife is absolutely fine. My son, I think it was around at the time. The cat, unfortunately, is not here, but that was much later. But it just and we didn't know it was. This was before I was getting into the paranormal stuff. We thought it was an Amish guy because the big top hat and the long coat and everything. So I did a bunch of research around this area that we live in, if there was any kind of Amish settlement around here, and there obviously wasn't. And it wasn't until last year when I was interviewing a medium on my show that he described a Hatman encounter in his bedroom. And he explained it to me, and I'm like, man, that sounds exactly what my wife saw. And he had a picture of it, and after the show, I said, hey, went to my wife and said, this is the Hat Man that this guy described. It was exactly what my wife saw in our house. So I mean, we had the Hat Man encounter here, so that was kind of freaky.
I hadn't heard about Hat Man until like the last few years too, and hearing all the ghost stories. Obviously, shadow people have been around forever, but the Hat Man are just things that I've only recently started hearing about.
Yeah, I've seen them several times. The Hat Man that day when everything happened with my mother, but then I've seen them another time there in Elms Grove. I have a picture, but I took it in the night, so I didn't have no flash, but you could see the red eyes in the picture, where it's got the red eyes, and it's pretty tall. Wow. But it's an old picture, because my dog was barking. When I stepped on the porch, I heard somebody say something to me as soon as I stepped on the porch. So when I heard that, where I heard the voice come from, I took a picture, and I believe I might have caught it. I just have to look for the picture. So you can see the red eyes and something tall, but it's all black, but I think they're all related in some kind of way, spiritually. They're like demons or demonic in nature. When you think about the Hat Man, you could think of probably the succubus, the incubus also, because they come at night, especially in the bedrooms. They attack while you're asleep.
Yeah. And that's when the medium that I was interviewing at the time, that's when in the middle of the night, he woke up and he saw the Hat Man in the corner of his room, and it kind of drifted over and eventually hovered over his bed. So, every morning I seem to wake up around 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm always kind of looking around. Okay, where is anybody around here? So that's
they call it was the incubus and succubus. The succubus is they call her the sea hag or the sea witch. She's all that one attacks the males. I remember I was getting spiritually targeted by her, where I was waking up with bite marks and scratches on my body and between my legs. And I would pray to God to be able to fight whatever was attacking me at nighttime, because it was going on for about 2 weeks. Then I prayed for him that if I woke up, that if I seen it, that I was going to rebuke it in Jesus Christ's name. So they always throw this crazy dreams, because they try to attack you sometimes sexually in your dreams. So I was seeing all this women and all this, and I didn't focus on that because I already prepared myself spiritually. So when I woke up and opened my eyes, the succubus was hovering over me with her mouth open, and she was trying to draining my spirit, right? And as I seen her with her mouth open, draining my spirit, I said, I type on her, rebuke in Jesus Christ's name, and her mouth opened real wide, and she went to small particles. But then I heard 2 other outside the home where they were chanting something in a different language. So I got on my knees and I started praying against that. I prayed against, and I told them that there wasn't allowed there in the property. And I prayed against them. I found out later on, after I did the show about that area, that just older people that worked at the airport, they said that all that land, even where I lived, that said it was native Indian burial ground. So that was probably why I had so much activity happening there.
One of the things I was going to say, and I've talked about this case before, but it was one of the ones that really put the whole idea for me on the map of it being something that we can't, that I think that they're together. I think that cryptids and ghosts and all that, I think they're all in I had everybody know who Ron Moorhead is? I know who Ron Moorhead is, right? Sierra Sounds and all that. I had a long talk with him one day. I had talked with him at the conference too, but we were all busy. I was talking to a lot of different people. He was talking to a lot of different people. Monica was being annoying as usual.
That's what I do.
Abe too. And I was like, yeah, y'all just, come on, leave me alone. There's only so much I can take. Y'all are going like, what is wrong with this dude? Ain't nobody said anything to you. You ever seen that movie or that show Eastbound and Down with Danny McBride?
I know it, but I haven't seen it, and everybody tells me I need to watch it.
You got the little duck laughing, Josh.
Yeah, there it is. He walks in through the hallway and he's all like, "Yeah," they're playing all this music and the children are all cheering him, And then it cuts to and he's just going, and the kids are like just looking at him like, "What the hell is wrong with this dude, man?" Like, but yeah, that was what was going on in my head. Y'all were just looking at me dancing around in circles, and in my mind, everybody was cheering me on, throwing confetti, Whatever. It's just a dream. It's just a dream. I'm hoping one day that'll be the case. I'll come out like a rock star, and just bore everybody like Andy Kaufman. Start reading from like what's a really boring one? What is his name? Copperfield. Let's do that one. Let's just read it. Chapter 1.
Peace.
I was born, and then you just start reading. That's the whole show. Thank you for your $150 ticket. Good night, folks. I would do something like that, especially if there's a lot of people I don't like there. I'm be like, yeah, I don't like these people. I'm gonna just, you know what? So I did have a guy reach out to me recently. You're gonna think I'm joking. He's from New York, and he invited me to come to a comedy club up there, put together a routine, and do one. And he said, "Can you do that?" I said, "I could." I'm not going to. And he's like, "Have you ever been to New York?" I said, "No, I've managed to avoid it my whole life. What's going on up there?" And he was like, "You're a funny guy." And I said, "Yeah, I try to be. I don't really try to be. I just do it." And then he says, "Yeah, but you could do something with that if you really wanted to." I was like, "I could do a lot of things, but I don't have time." And he goes, "But there are things that require attention, and you could make money doing this. And I could do a lot of things, but I don't have time because I have things I got to take care of. My business partner had a heart attack, and I'm taking care of the business. I could be doing all kinds of other things that are more lucrative, but this man is like my dad, and I'm not going to leave him in a lurch. And so I'm going to break my back to help this guy because he's helped me. So that's how it works, That's what people need to understand. There has to be priorities. Before I go any further, I want to say something about Abe. Abe and me, we started out as friends, and then we kind of drifted apart. And there was one guy in particular who kind of stirred the pot between us after my first conference. He was talking a lot of crap. And they said some things in there, and me and Abe kind of got into it. So for about 2 weeks, we were trading blows back and forth because I was coming off of that conference and I thought he was just one of them. But I stopped and I looked at it and I said, me and Abe had never had problems before, and we were very close with our views. And so I reached out to him, and Abe was very receptive, and he apologized for the things he said. He's like me. He doesn't take people's crap, but he's not a bad guy. He's not. And he forgave me, and I forgave him. And that is a lesson right there in the community. And we've never fought again. We've never had another problem. And we looked at the situation. We both went back and we said, there it is right there. We allowed someone to get in there and mess with our pride. And I told Abe, I said, we'll never fight. I'm never going to fight you. We're friends. We're going to be friends. That's what's going to happen. And most recently, another one of my friends, that happened publicly. Somebody tried to do something. The guy continues. But the thing is, it's up to you. I figured this out. It's up to you to let them win. When you win, you win. There's 470 people here listening. They're not hurting us. They're throwing rocks at a brick wall, and they're thinking that they're doing something. And it's just like Monty Python when they run up and they hit the castle with their swords, and then they run away. And then they're like, retreat.
Run away.
Then the scene with the rabbit. We can't risk a frontal assault. That rabbit is dynamite. These people can't take a rabbit down. They're going to take us down and tread. One of them said, I tread on snakes or below your feet. Whatever, And I said, that sounds really good in theory, but I'm not a snake slithering around for you to trounce on. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and do what you got to do. But in my opinion now, and this was legal advice given to me, they said, let them say things because it's just put it up there. Let them show everybody what they're doing, and then let them spin, because it shows people who, what's really going on. And instead of us getting angry and hating, I don't hate them either. I do not have hate in my heart for any one of them. I don't. And I forgive. And I totally buy into what Abe says about the Love Foundation. I do. And I do watch you at night, Abe. I don't always get to it because I got things I got to do, but you say a lot of very important things that people need to hear. And Paul Anthony, I've heard a lot of good things about you.
It's all false.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, what is Krista and Brandy? What are they talking about? What is
I pay Krista. I pay them a lot.
Yeah, I was like, these people are true.
They all have brand new cameras, Josh.
Is that what it is?
No.
And I'm sitting there going like, what is wrong with these people? I talked to the guy earlier and I was falling asleep and I was mad. I'm kidding. I'm joking. We had a great conversation this morning, and Paul
Yeah, we
was.
did.
But the Hat Man, what we were talking about, and Monica. Before I forget, Monica. Well, you're Monica. But anyway, I'm joking. There she's going. Because what you said last night, you're like, I'm just gonna be there. Like you were kind of like.
I was, I was kidding.
I felt bad because you kind of jabbed me, and my wife was like, "She's got a point." I'm like, oh, "Okay, sisterhood, huh? Stick together, like that's how I roll. That's how you roll." And then right there after that, Abe's like, "Sister Nellie." I'm like, "Oh, so everybody's just your Sister Nellie, huh?" And I'm just nothing. I'm just a guy who's Sister Nellie's friend. It's just here. We're just here. There's nothing. She's just like, "You're so dramatic." I'm like, I am. True story. One time, Paul, I'm going to tell you this. I literally had gotten ready to leave to go to a meeting, right? And I was so wound up. And Nellie, I swear sometimes she has to dress me. And she says, "Hey, well, honey. And I thought, I already gave her a kiss. I turned around and she goes, "I love you, honey. But if you go to this meeting, you are going to really, really screw it up." And I'm like, what? So I was waiting for this big reveal, like she had some kind of dream, like I saw this in a dream, because she does have a little bit of clairvoyance, And I said, "Why? Why would you say that?" And she goes, "Because you're not wearing pants." And I said, "Yeah, see, I was going to put on some shorts in my study on the way out." And she goes, "You don't have any shorts in the study, honey. You're lying." And I said, "Yes, so I am." And then so I went back into. She goes over there. She goes, "I have them here. The belt's already on them. Just put them on one leg at a time. Calm down. Take the disgusting drink that I make you every day for your health." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And I walked out and I went to the meeting and I killed it. And I did what I had to do. And we saved the account. And she called me. She goes, How were things?" I said, "It went good. It went great." I said, "And it was so much better that I had some shorts on, some dress shorts, because it was warm, it was last summer." But I told her, I said, "You really saved the day. I really appreciate it." She goes, "All I did was remind you just to be normal, because you get so far out there." And she's like, "And I've heard you talking to people on the phone." And she goes, "And I'm not going to lie, it's kind of weird. Sometimes she's just like, she likes to hear it, but then to a certain point, and she's like, I'm going to be thinking about that later, like, because these people, they talk about this stuff." So my business partner, he's been in the hospital. I talked to him a little bit yesterday, and he said, "How's the show?" He's a very good guy, good-hearted guy. He's too nice. He's too nice. I'm the guy. I'm the bad cop. He's the good cop always. They always run to Marty, the guards. "Josh said I can't, they call me Wolf. He said I can't go and, just take a pee in front of the cameras behind the building." And he's like, "Well, really, the client." I'm like, "No, dude, that's retarded. You have the retardation. Don't do that." And he's just like, gives him a long explanation. And it's like, "No, you can't pee behind the building. Go inside like a normal person." But Marty will try to find a way. He's like, "You got to be nice to them. You got to be nice to them." I said, "No. At some point, you have to be like assertive and firm and be like, no, we're paying you well to not screw up." So he tells me, he says, "How's the show going?" I said, "I'm just going good. It's going good." He goes, "Keep doing it." He goes, "At first I didn't like you talking about the business, things like that." He goes, "And now," he goes, "I'm glad." Because he's like, "There's a lot that needs to be said about this business, what we're doing. And it is kind of scary. There's a lot of weird things that happen at night." But he told me, he goes, "I don't know how you can listen to all those people, telling their stories." He goes, "I've heard you before, when we were talking one day when we met for dinner, and I had this, I was over there kind of listening to somebody, and I was jotting down some notes. And there was one time we were eating dinner, and I'll never forget it. And this lady had messaged me, and she says, "I have an incredible story about shadow people." And so I kind of stepped out, and I was telling him a little bit, and we're eating, and he's just looking at me, and he's just like, "I don't want to hear that, because I will have nightmares. I will literally have nightmares." And so I was talking to Paul this morning, and I was telling you about something that had happened and how everybody had the same dream. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. And when we would see these shadow beings in our house or around our house, sometimes we would have dreams, or we would thought they were dreams, and we know they weren't, because we would all see the same thing. And the Hat Man was something that would show up along with his red eyes. I didn't see a Hat Man in that house. I saw a shadow, but two of our roommates, that would stay there off and on, saw it one time. And I don't know if I've told this on the show or not. I've had half a dozen people come on and talk about that house, but I had a pinball machine in my house. And one of my friends would come over, and he would play it all the time. And the guys that I trusted, the ones I knew that like they could come and hang out in the front area, whatever, I didn't care. and we had video games and pinball machine, all this stuff. And he was sitting there playing this pinball machine, and something touched him on his shoulder, and he thought it was me. I was in the back of my bedroom, and he thought it was me or one of my friends or my girlfriend at the time. He turns around and he doesn't see anything, and he sees something black like go around the corner, and he thought maybe one of us had just trying to get his attention. He said it was very adamant, like it felt like, hey, come here. So he goes to follow it, and get this, he looks down the hallway, and standing right in the front of the bedroom door of my room was this black shadow looking thing that was with red eyes, just staring right at him. And then he turned and he looked, and he saw it in the mirror, because there was this mirror at the end of the hallway, which we couldn't get rid of. They're there the whole time. It was there. And he said it kind of stepped out of the mirror, and he got so freaked out, dude. He fell backwards and almost knocked over my aquarium. And then he got up and ran out of the house. And I heard all this ruckus. So I go, I didn't see anything. I walk out, I didn't see anything. And then later that night, we went to the club, because we all worked downtown. And he told me what he saw. Well, get this. That night, and I still remember her name too, one of our bartenders, this girl named Valerie, she'd worked for us for a few years. She quit. And the next night, she just sends me a text, and she's like, hey, I'm not going to come in. And I'm just like, what? And so I messaged her. I said, what? She's been working for like 4 years or something. And then she gave me this long message, and she says, last night, when the bouncers were taking out the trash, she's like, something came out of the wall, and she described exactly what Jack had seen. And I was like, are you kidding me? That was my friend. And I was sitting there reading that, and it was her and another one of our friends, and so my friend Chief, who I've talked about on the show, he's been on the show, he's talked about it. He came to me, and he was like the head of the security at that time for me. And he was like, did you get that? I said, yeah, I got that text. What the hell? And he goes, that's crazy. And he's like, because he had seen something like that in the bathroom. But one time when Loki was been on the show too, his nickname, they both had house sit for me. So both of them, I figured two of them together, somebody would get it done. Please, feed the dogs, whatever. So Loki had called Chief and said, hey man, I'm not going back over to Wolf's house, dude. Him and Diablo, that's my brother. They're out of town with Scorpio in Houston. And he goes, can you go and feed the dogs till they come back on Tuesday? And this was Sunday. So Chief goes over there, and he goes to the back, and he sees something very similar to what Loki had seen. And it was like a black blob that just kind of came up and became a thing, and it had red eyes. And so years later, I was doing the investigation at this place outside of my hometown, and we went there to talk about this Dogman. They said it comes to the window all the time. So we were going to wait there at night, and see if this thing actually showed up. So we go in there into the house. And like I said this before, there was the appliances were doing weird things, And most recently, Lyle Blackburn had told me about his washer and dryer turning around backwards, which was so weird. But I saw it happen at that house. So I told Lyle, I said, yeah, that's something that I've seen happen. I mean, I watched it with 4 people, or 5 people if you count them. But 3 of my people, we were 4 of us. And I was like, what the hell? I said, you have a poltergeist activity going on here. And of course, it was this Dogman type creature that was coming to the window and talking to this child. And the Dogman was telling the child to come outside and play, because the child was scared to death to be inside the house, because he was seeing, in his own words, the Hat Man. Nobody had ever told him to call it that. Nobody had coached this young man to say that, this child. And he was telling us. And so when I looked at the pictures that he had drawn, I said, what is this? He said, this is the big dog that comes and talks to me. And I said, and what is this one? And it was a picture of the Hat Man. And he goes, this is the bad guy that comes and tries to get me to come out into the hallway. He's like, I'm scared of him. I said, but you're not scared of the big dog outside? He goes, no, he wants to play. He wants me to come outside and pet him and hang out, and I can ride his back, and we're going to run around in the woods. And so I told him, I said, what do you tell this dog, because he said, I'll tell him I can't go outside because my mommy doesn't want me to. I said, that's right. Don't do that. Don't go with it. But the closest he came to it, though, which is a weird part of it, when he was in his room and he was drawing a picture, and the doggy, this werewolf, was hanging out the window, the Hat Man came to the door of his room, and the werewolf type creature started growling at it. And the Hat Man kind of backed off and then went away. And he told me about this, and we were eating dinner at that point at this seafood place in my hometown. And I asked him, I said, so, or I think Scorpion was actually the one that asked him the question. We were sitting there with his mom and dad, and we were asking the kids questions, and we were like, well, what do you think? I mean, why did the Shadow Man go away? He says he's afraid of the Dogman. So this kid just called it a Dogman, and we had never addressed it as a Dogman. And so I asked him, I said, why did you call it a Dogman? He goes, because he looks like a man mixed with a big dog. But it was more like a wolf, right? And so I showed him pictures of this. I said, is this like it was a wolf? And he looked and he goes, yeah, it looks like that. That was several different pictures. It was a black like wolf. And I said, what color were the eyes? He said, red. I said, the Shadow Man was red eyes? He goes, yeah. But sometimes the doggy is red eyes and sometimes they're yellow. Mm-hmm. So you're sitting there and you're going like, okay, so then it kind of added to my theory that I don't believe it's all working together. Some people do. I think that some of these things do, but I say this, and I will say it 1,000 times. Evil does not play well with others. There is no structure to evil. There is only so much that evil will do. And evil only responds to aggression. That's pretty much it. You can overcome it with love, as Abe says, but with the aggression is what keeps it together. One really strong evil entity can make the others do what it wants, but they're doing it against their will, and the first chance they get enough energy, they're going to stab that one in the back. What makes us, the good side, stronger than the dark side is not just our own ability to work together and the love foundation, but their built-in Achilles heel is that they have no love, which means they have no loyalty, because you don't have loyalty without love. If you don't care about it, then you have no loyalty. So they'll stab each other in the back. And I fully believe that Hat Man was trying to get his drink of water energy from those people. And that werewolf type creature was doing the same thing. And they were competitors, much like a lion would be growling at a leopard. The leopard goes up into the tree and the lion's like, yeah, you better stay up there because you come down, I'm going to hurt you. This gazelle or whatever it is mine. This wildebeest is mine. So I don't buy into this theory that they are all in it together. So I don't totally believe that all cryptids are just spiritual, whatever, but I think they can manifest in different ways. And I believe there's multiple levels of things going on all at once. Because when I've been described the fifth density from different people, and I've been there twice, and I cannot put into words what it was like. I can explain the fourth density, but not the fifth. Not with human words. I don't know how to describe it. It's more like an emotion. But these people who've been there at length have told me like it's something you can't imagine, you can't understand it, but you will grasp the concept that there are a million different things all happening at one time, and the frequencies are razor thin and they're all right next to each other, but they're not really responding. But then they kind of bleed in. So something can move from the fifth into the fourth and look like two different things at the same time. And then you get this weird pixelation type whatever that looks like the screen is messing up on your computer, and that goes from the third to the fourth. So if people would stop and open their minds and understand what we're dealing with, and stop saying that these things are all controlled by one big devil, because that's not the case. There are multiple devils, and in fact, it's much worse than you think it is. People believe that there is just one bad guy and he's running all this stuff. That's not the case. They're gangs. Literally like gangs. There's groups, there's gangs. When I was in Chicago, one of the things I learned was everything was ethnicity. You were in one neighborhood because you were Cuban, another neighborhood because you were Mexican, another neighborhood you were Dominican, another neighborhood you were Irish, another neighborhood you were Italian, Polish, and so on and so forth. And then there were Haitians and Nigerians and just African Americans. And then you had different types of African Americans and different types of whatever. And then you had, the Jamaicans, but they were not all the same. They were not all together, and they were not friends, but they were all different gangs. They were all bad guys. They made no bones about it. And in fact, like some of them even were wearing like pentagrams and things like that as like their little symbols and stuff like that. These were gangs and wholly evil, giving themselves over to evil completely, corruption. In fact, one of the guys I used to box with, his nickname was Corrupt. And when I was downtown on 6th Street, this guy, his nickname was Criminal. They advertise it. They put it on their chest. They wear it like a badge of honor, you know. Another guy's name was Shooter. I mean, these are the guys that, you know, these aren't the get along gang. Everybody had their own gang. And there wasn't a good gang. There was no such thing. And all they did was fight each other. Now, you have to take that and translate that into the spirit world, because that's what it is. It's gangs of evil fighting one another. And if you think for a second that they're all like, you get rid of one, oh, I've got rid of all of them because that one left, because they'll go back and get more. They will. But remember, they're also competitors too for your soul. One of the things I learned too with dealing with Joel from the in particular him, the Vampire Confessions, one of the things that Joel pointed out was, he drove the point home to me pretty hard. I was already on board, but he kept kind of harping on it. He goes, we weren't friends with the other temples. We weren't. He's like, they're at war constantly with one another, trying to take each other's, you know, energy, trying to take each other's stuff, and they kill each other. And they'll make it look like an accident, but if that person was involved in stuff, you knew it was like a psychic hit. And then they would just, one war would end, and there would be another and another and another. And these were evil, evil people. And their gods would constantly be at war with one another. Something that James Bartley came on the show and he talked about on a Saturday, how these gods would just go full tilt on each other. None of them are the real true God. They're just masquerading, and one is a little more powerful than the other, and blah, blah, blah. And so they take what the other one has, or try to. So that being said, I think it's very important that people understand that, and you need to grasp that, because there is a devil, like one big guy devil, but then multiply him by 1,000. There's a bunch of them. And they're an entire race of beings, but they're not all in it together. They're not all the same. And people need to understand that. What's important about that is that you can't, some of these people think they can make a deal with one of them, and then the rest of them are going to respect that. Years ago, when the United States had won the Civil War, and they were trying to wrangle the Comanches, right? There was a movie on, it was one of the Lonesome Dove movies. I can't remember which one. It might have been Comanche Moon. But, you know, Gus was sitting there, and he was a metal worker or whatever, and this pompous colonel comes up, and he's like, Mr. McCrae, we need to talk about the Comanches. They've gotten out of hand. And he's just like, with all due respect, he goes, here in Texas, they've been out of hand for a long time. Welcome to the party, douchebag. You know, like, I mean, you know, who are you? Pompous guy in blue, you know, we're going to deal with them. You know, how? Because nobody's done it up to this point, but you're a magic man. You're going to do, have fun with that. We're going to give you assignments. We're in charge of the Texas Rangers. You know, like if you read the book, he's real pompous and stupid. Read Elmer Kelton's books too. He's real points out like how stupid people were to think they could fight these guys. They called them the Lords of the Plains for a reason. Nobody beat them. Nobody. The Spaniards had a little, you know, they won some battles in the West, but not many in Texas. And they were too busy trying to look for gold to do both. They couldn't fight and do that. You had to fight and do one or the other. And so the Comanches they just ran roughshod over everybody. But when you look at that situation as an analogy, right, it doesn't matter how, you know, tough and big and bad you are, you think you're going to do whatever you're going to do. I mean, these beings are going to do what they're going to do. And there's only one way. And I say this all the time, and that's through Christ. You can try, you can throw out other names, you can say whatever you want to say, but there's really only one name that they respect, and you know, and it goes back to the Bible where the demon is being talked to. And Abe, you could probably tell me where it's at. I know that he says, Jesus I know, Paul I know, but I know not you. Who are you? And that demon confronts that dude. That tells me you're in big, big trouble, because that demon's basically telling you, you ain't about it.
Yeah, he confronts those priests that were going against Job, for saying that he wasn't a man of faith like they were, and the demon said that he didn't know who they were, so he attacked them. Mm-hmm. He attacked all of them. That beat them all up.
And they think that if they can cast out one, they can cast out another. And that's not how this works. I'm telling you, you're dealing with gangs, and the sooner you realize, Jesus says, "My people, they die for lack of knowledge," and that's because you don't know. You don't know what you're dealing with. They're not all the same. They're not all in it together. When I've told people that story about that Dogman and that Hat Man, they think that those are, oh, they're on the same team. No, they're not. They're absolutely evil, but they're not on the same team. You know what I mean? They may work together at some point to achieve an aim, but that's not that. Ultimately, they'll kill each other if they can. They don't care, and they can kill each other. There is a such thing as a second death. Your energy can leave your consciousness, and it's something you don't ever want to happen, because then you're done. You're game over. And in God, He says, "Fear not the one that can, that can kill, that can take your life, but the one that can give you the second death, which is when your spirit is." Yeah, you remove from your consciousness, the energy leaves, and then you become something else, because the energy doesn't get destroyed, But here's what I'm going to tell you: if you're dealing with something, the most important thing is to remember, like, it really doesn't matter to you. But don't make that mistake. You know what I mean? That you can go without the armor, because you can't. You can't walk alone in this world without the armor of God. Paul, what do you believe in this? Do you believe in that, or what is your thoughts?
I wholeheartedly believe in that, and I'm actually going on my very first ghost hunt tomorrow night out at Ashmore, Illinois, and everybody's saying make sure that you're protected, make sure you're protected. And I'm like, okay, what exactly should I bring? What do you recommend? I've never been a real religious kind of person. Even though I went to church, every Sunday and stuff, growing up, I've never really been a religious person, but I always feel that I'm protected by, I have a cross necklace, and I'm going to be carrying my dad's old rosary. So I feel that, and I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in God. Anything that comes my way, I will pray to Jesus Christ, protect me.
Yeah. Do it before and after you go in, Paul.
Exactly.
And I'm going to suggest this right here. This is St. Benedict. That is very, very potent. It has worked wonders for us. We put it on our doors. We had stuff. I think that our activity would be ramped up still at that house that we're in right now. Hopefully, when we leave, this other place will be a little better energy. I don't know, but I mean, all houses have some residual energy you're going to have to deal with. But stay prayed up.
Oh yeah, and it all, I believe it all has to do with what you intend to find or what you intend to encounter there. I would like to see shadow figures. I would like to see, hear disembodied voices and sounds and stuff. But I will also be very well protected, and But when I go back to work on Monday, I am going to act like I'm possessed, just to scare my workmates.
Gosh, dude. That you're gonna just go back to work and be like, Paul is not here. We're black, completely black.
Only Zool.
Only Zool. Paul is gone. No more Paul. Just Zool.
Yeah. Next time we see Paul, he's gonna be wearing bifocals.
I don't want to get poked in the eye like the Three Stooges by ghosts. Hey, then we're going to get you on with the black eyes, and we're going to call. Well, David hates it when you call. Hey, folks, if next time David comes on, he's not watching tonight. I know, okay, but sometimes he might go back and check it out. But hopefully, he won't check this out. All right, let's just troll him a little bit and be like, "Hey, black-eyed kids," and just keep saying it, because he's like, I'm not the black-eyed kids guy. It's real aggravating. Like I was like, so David, tell me about the black-eyed kids. I'd like not to. I'm so tired. Like, you hear a cover band play Freebird, like, okay. And next we have Stairway to Heaven. Thank you. But yeah, he's like the black-eyed kids dude. So I was thinking about getting some black contacts and just coming on and be like, David, or just show up for the investigation with the black eyes. We go out to the Devil's Backbone. But those contacts are kind of, I don't like them. I don't like wearing them, but I don't know. Joe does it. I don't know. So I was thinking that, like maybe we get him on one night on a Friday and we just interview him, and everybody just kind of ask about the black-eyed kids one after the other. and see his face, see what he says, see what he does.
Smile.
You know,
Shall we color eyebrow or eyelid and around black?
or just black. He'll make it black. Paint it black. Because David's a really interesting guy. I'm gonna give him some props, but he is writing all of these books about the 50 states, and I mean he's written like half of them now. He's done a good job. And I told him, I said, so I called him the other day. I said, "How's the black-eyed kid business going?" He's just like, "Oh, like you got to mess with him."
Yeah,
you got to mess with them. I always have something that I kind of needle my friends about, and that's one of them with him. Everybody has something, and they just get tired of that because that's what people know you as, right? Mm-hmm. Like for me, mine isn't so bad. Everybody knows about me. They know that I'm extremely handsome. I mean, they know that. And then, look at Monica. She almost spit out her coffee. She's like, "Who the hell told you these lies?" Because your head looks like Campbell's soup is good food head. I don't know why you think that. Except you have a little bit of fuzz on your head, and then I don't know what's going on with that. It's weird.
The duck's laughing.
But it's got little hearts on it, so it's the Love Foundation duck.
Yeah, it's a Love Foundation duck.
He's laughing.
I don't have a duck, but I got a little dolphin guy. He's laughing.
But y'all got the little animals. I don't have anything. I have one. Here he is. Look at this. This is mine. He's laughing too. You see these? See the chompers there? Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
I have a pen.
I think you
have a pen. No, I can laugh at you, Monica. At you. Okay?
What, you mean like, oh my gosh, like making jokes at my expense?
Like that's never happened before.
That never happens.
Yeah. Somewhere the guy that called you on the breathing on the phone is going like, "I'm not ugly."
It was so funny.
She said that on the show. Paul, this isn't meta. This isn't like we're making inside jokes, but right. No, she made a joke on the show one time, and I just thought it was hilarious because people were talking about prank calling, and somebody called her, and she's like, "Why are you calling breathing? Are you ugly?"
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was a teenager. That obviously back in the 80s, I got an obscene phone call at like 3 a.m, and the dude's breathing heavy and being a general creep, and I'm like, "Why are you calling random girls in the middle of the night? Are you ugly? Can you not get a girlfriend?"
He probably got real upset.
He was like, I'm a good looking guy.
Yeah.
Then why I get girls. And then why are you calling strangers in the middle of the night? Like, I bet you are ugly. What do you look like?
Wow.
But everybody did it back then. I wasn't considered ugly. I think I was in high school. And in high school, I have pictures of me when I was young. And I was a very handsome guy. I'm going to be
real. We're all
real
hot when we're young.
Well, not everybody.
Well, most of them.
Not everybody. When I was young, though, I was a very attractive guy. I didn't have a problem. Girls would. So sometimes I would get calls from girls, but my best friend was Heather, and she was considered to be she was one of the hot girls in school, but she was my best friend, and it was just friendly. And she would call me and complain about these dirtbag guys. And everybody thought that we were like every girlfriend I had, every boyfriend she had thought we were messing around. I was like, no, we're friends. You can actually do that, especially when you're good looking. You have a lot to choose from. That's me. I'm just saying. I'm very modest about it and humble, but it is what it is. People watch the show and they're like, I love this guy's humility. I love how humble he is. I am the humblest of the humbles. I've said this before. And people think I'm joking. And I'm like, look, man, once you get to a certain point of humbleness, you don't even have to. It's just there. You're just a very humble person. But yeah, Monica, though, I think Monica just confused. She gets confused. She gets a little confused.
I do. Okay.
Yeah. He was doing you a favor by calling you. He was trying to help you out with yourself.
I thought he was. I mean, I knew where he lived by the end of the phone call. I broke him down.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
You figured out who he was? You sat there and had a conversation with the guy?
I was like, what's your name? He goes, what are you wearing? I was like, what are you wearing?
The dumb thing is the guy kept going on with the phone call.
Well, that's probably what he wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor guy. And to this day, he's probably like, I am not ugly. He tells himself in the mirror, I am a good-looking man.
That random girl that I called at 3 a.m. and 87 said I was ugly.
Well, I had a girl do that to me on the phone. It was a girl who I knew she liked me, and every now and then she'd call me and ask me questions about homework. Because that's not real. I'm not gonna call some girl and be like, "Hey, can you tell me how to do algebra?" I never needed to, but I mean, like, I wouldn't even use that as an excuse. That's dumb. And she was like, "Hey, so Heather," she's one of Heather's friends. She's like, "Heather told me that you could help me with my homework." And I'm like, "Who is this?" Because I was, you're a teenager, you're superficial. And when I heard who she was, I was like, "Well, yeah, I can help you. What's up?" Because I wanted to know, if it was an ugly girl, I'd be like, "Man, you better get away from me. Throw a rock at you." That's teenagers are jerks, man. Okay. And I was no exception. I was like, "How hot is this chick?" Like, "Oh, okay, I know who you are. Yeah, I can definitely help you with your homework. You should come over and let me help you." And it was like a Friday night at like 10 o'clock or something. And so I was like, she's like, "Yeah, can we meet tomorrow and go and talk about it and whatever?" There was a roller skating rink. I'm like, "I don't even know how to roller skate to this day, but I went there more times than I can count." And I never tried to learn because it was always, that was your advantage. The girl could try to teach you how to roller skate. And so you just keep falling down. "Oh, look, you can do something I can't," whatever. So she was like, "Let's go to the roller skating rink tomorrow. You can help me." There wasn't even any homework involved. There never was. But I knew, for sure that she was calling for that reason, So I was doing her a favor. I was doing her a favor and lifting her up and her self-esteem. I was like, "Look, I was like, I know that you're not a 10. Okay. You're like an 8.
Let's just get that out there up front.
Let's get it out there up front. I am a 9. At 16, I was a 9. I was a 9. I was definitely a 9. I was a solid 9. I was like, I'm not a 10. Not a 10. I had 4-pack, not a 6. I never could get rid of that little bit at the bottom. And I was like, I'm good. I'm good. And so the girls would tell me that I was good. And my friend Heather, because she was the one I used for everything. Like, I was like, "What does she think of me?" And she's like, "She thinks you're hot." Okay, cool. But that was, that was then. This is now. And so I was kind of arrogant. I was a little arrogant. Monica's rolling her eyes. You have no idea. My wife tells me I'm handsome constantly.
I'm not.
All right.
My own.
You're supposed to. So my wife tells me, and she's like, "You're a very handsome man." And then sometimes I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And I do nowadays. I feel like I'm not as confident as I once was. Who am I kidding? Yeah, I am.
You're a good-looking guy, Josh.
I'm terribly confident. I'm extremely confident in everything I do. Everything I do. It gets misconstrued as arrogance.
The deer woman thinks you're handsome.
Does she?
The deer woman.
Good eyes. She got good eyes.
He's always going after guys.
So yeah, I had a coworker who would always tell us every chance he got how incredibly good looking he was and how all the girls were interested in him.
Wow.
And, he was a catch, and he was very just out, and it annoyed the crap out of me. And I got fed up with it. So every time he would talk about how handsome he was, I would be sure to say very loud in front of everybody else, everybody's mom tells them they're good looking. You don't need to take it to heart.
My mom never did that though. My mom used to be one of those, like, how do you say it? What is the word for it? I mean, like, she was like, I don't know, what is the word for it in Spanish, Abe? Not chicante. That's like, she said I was chicante, like too much.
Chocante.
Yeah. But my mom was always like, she would just be like, I don't know how you'd say it, nombre way, like, you think you're good looking, stop with that, suave, baboso, mentiroso, always with the Spanish. And I'd be like, "Mom, stop.
Stop looking yourself in the mirror. Stop combing yourself."
Yeah, right. And she would always tell me that. She's like, "You're vain." But back then, and that's different. And she told me, "One day you're not going to have all this hair, mijo." I said, "Yeah, I'm going to have my hair. I'll be 50 years old to have my hair." And look, I still got it. I'm not all grayed out. I mean, my uncle, he's barely getting gray. He's like 66 years old. So that's a hopeful thing. I mean, he still has long hair. I think it's a native in me though. I think it's what's done it. But then the Spaniards do it too, though. I think that's part of it,
That's why I shave my head to hide the gray.
Is it?
Yeah, I see that there. I let it grow out
on the sides though. That's not so bad.
Yeah, and it's thinner there.
But you have your hair can grow out. You have hair. Right?
Oh yeah, I have really thick hair, and I used to grow it really long. No, I used to shave it. And
how do you shave your head though? Like on the top? I mean, if you just let it grow out.
Well, I used to work like 3 to 11, and instead of me getting up and having to shower, wash my hair every day, and put gel in it or whatever, it was just easier to shave it, so I didn't have to worry about it. So I mean, that's plus my hair is so thick, and I can't do anything with it. So once it grows out a little bit,
it's so thick and luxurious that you have to shave it to manage.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want people looking at it and chasing you down the street, man. I know how it is. Right. I know.
And I liked it long. My wife hated it, but I liked it long. But to get there, it was just very uncomfortable for a long time. And I just, you know what? No, I'm not going to deal with it anymore. So.
He's like, give me a hell yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking like Stone Cold now.
Yeah.
See, Dinah Russo had just said that I was very humble and modest. So if there's any question, Dinah would know. She's answered the question right there. Let's take a vote. Anthony, you do a poll, and let's find out who the most handsome man is in the paranormal field.
And the only choice is Josh.
I can add a few other choices to that. It'd be between me and Lon Strickler and Dark Waters.
Oh shit!
I want to see if
you win, man. Hands down.
That's it. There's 3 people you can choose from. Those guys have stuff. Let's do it. I'm kidding, folks, and my apologies to them. I don't want people to think that they're handsome. Look, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell you this right now, okay? When you do what you do and you get to where you're at, whatever you do, seriously, on the serious side, be completely serious. I'm not joking. Just be really actually humble about it. Even though it's hard. It's very hard. And then it gets into humble bragging. And then you start doing the real bragging, and then it just goes on. And then people were like, well, that's why I hate that guy. No, you wanted a reason to hate me, and I gave you one. They already need one. They want one, I look at it like this, though. Donnie, what are you talking about? Donnie Cho says, I grew my hair long once. Great for making white people uncomfortable. Terrible for job interviews. What? So you're Liu Kang? Is that what?
Yeah. You have photos? I need to see those photos.
You need to kick that door and come in all like, enter the dragon. I don't think that's going to go over well, though, with an employer, though, Donnie. If you come in and do all that,
Especially if you kick the door in on the interview.
Exactly. Yeah. Come in and you're just like, yeah. I think that what he means is he makes people uncomfortable, because I think that's going to make anybody uncomfortable.
Donnie just makes people uncomfortable. Yeah.
That's his job. It's his job in the community.
He says stuff.
He says stuff. And the stuff is just, whoa. You're like, whoa there. So let's get back to business. The Hat Man thing here, what we were talking about earlier, when you talk about this being or this entity or whatever, I had somebody give me a story, and I don't know what you think of this, and I really was anxious to talk to Abe about it. But Monica, I would love your opinion, and Paul, you're the new guy. I don't care. But anyway, I'm joking, Paul. So we're going to talk about this. Do you put any credence into this? And this is something that I have been emailed about a bunch of times, and I want to bring it on the show, and I've never talked about this before. What are your thoughts on the Bloody Mary mythos, as they say? And what are your thoughts on, because somebody had said that they saw a hat man in the mirror in the bathroom, and they had said an infernal name. I'm not going to repeat that name, but please don't post it on the comments like the other day when I was talking about the Forbidden Book, and somebody said, here it is, right here, here it is. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Okay, and the moderators had to take it down. When I said that was a Forbidden Book, I meant it. Even H.P. Lovecraft himself would not mention the name of it. And so when I was trying to give people some information, and they just had to go and be smart mouth and put it on there because they think they're cute. So now everybody knows, but please don't download that book. I'm just telling you. And then somebody said in the comments, he wants the information all for himself. I don't use it. I know what it says. I don't use it. It's forbidden by many, many cultures for a reason. Okay. And it crosses cultures. When the Arabs tell you that it's guarded by dark elves that will kill you, they're being serious, because they don't ever be specific. They say the jinn, but when they come right out and say there's a specific group, that live inside the earth and they will kill you for the knowledge if you have it. They mean that. So please don't repeat that. Okay. And that's a knowledge that, and there was, when I was talking to Rabbi John and Monica, you were on that show. We were talking about stuff and he was saying there's a reason why the Kabbalah, which really should be forbidden too, there's a reason why you have to be 40 years old and married. Because they're trying to stymie, too much of the, whatever's going to happen. Because these are very ancient cultures and they have very forbidden knowledge. And now there's a book from China too that's also, it goes back to the Second Han Dynasty, and it is a very forbidden book. You're not supposed to read it. It literally translates to the Book of the Dragon, which is like a very, very, just some of the stuff I've read is just satanic. It's a satanic book. There's no other way. The Hashatan, as Joe would call them, they wrote these books. They had people do it, and these things are bad. So there's that. What do you think of the Bloody Mary mythos that if you say it in the mirror, it doesn't matter. It could be a tulpa. But people have reported weird stuff. There was a lady up in Oklahoma who gave me a crazy story. She got so scratched up, she said it looked like a cat had attacked her. And that was from the Bloody Mary thing. She said it in the mirror. Her and her two sisters and one of their friends having a little hangout, whatever. And they were in the bathroom and they did this. And in particular, it attacked her and it bit her sister on the arm. Now, people could argue that what it really happened was one of the girls had gone nuts and started biting and scratching the other ones. But I don't think that's what happened. And there's an infernal name that you can invoke. And apparently at least 3 people that I know of going back to the 90s had done this, invoking the invocation of an infernal name, and they got visited by the Hat Man. And it didn't leave. Okay. Now, I don't believe any of these beings are omnipotent. So the Hat Man to me is a race of beings, or is it a tulpa? And is the Bloody Mary, is she a tulpa? So your opinions, we'll start with Paul. You're the guest co-host. What do you think, Paul? What is your opinion on this?
I certainly think that, the more you put out there into the universe, whether it's in the mirror or anything is possible. I mean, I've laid in bed many times, saying, Mom and Dad, this is completely different. Mom, Dad, come and see me. You're more than welcome to come and see me anytime you want. They show up. So I really do. I do believe that. Yes.
And let me ask this question, take it a little step further. Uh-huh. Would you go and stand in front of a mirror and say it 3 times in the dark?
About my parents? Yes.
No. Okay. No.
Yeah,
the Bloody Mary.
No, I would not.
No. Okay. That's a good answer. Cause to me, there is a right and wrong answer. It's up to you. You do what you want to do, pal. I'm just saying for me, I would never do that.
Yeah, no, not even if I lived by myself, I wouldn't do that. But you have to think of the other people that are in the house. I wouldn't want to bring that into, for my wife and for my son too. So.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Monica?
I think that for the most part, it's just a game you're playing at a slumber party. But I think that if there is something either already attached to somebody who's doing this, or if there's something already in the home, that it can use that as an opportunity to come through and manipulate things, or scare the people, whatever happens. I just think that Bloody Mary is so just prolific at sleepovers, right? When I was young, everybody did it. And if it was something that would always invoke something, you would hear a lot more stories of things going sideways at slumber parties or soon thereafter, right? And that's why, just thinking of that, that's why I think that it's just a party game that you play for the most part. But if, like I said, if there's something already there or something already attached to somebody, it would use that as an opportunity.
Okay. Well, would you go and do it in front of a mirror by yourself?
I've done it when I was young.
Okay. Would you do it now, knowing what you know?
Knowing what I know, no, I'm not that kind of a risk taker. Well, I think that it is just a party game. I don't know what's going on around me, and I don't know what I would be, opening myself up to by doing that.
And then Donnie Cho says stuff. Here we go. So Donnie, food for thought. I never run away from a question. Everybody knows that. Tulpa, according to the Tibetan Buddhist mythos, is actually more akin to astral projection. Yes and no. I will say this, okay? And I haven't been to Tibet. I know people who have, and I know one who thinks he's some kind of guru, whatever. He's just a hippie. Works at my friend's shop, and he's always trying to tell me about the nature of reality. But anyway, there's another thing going on there. Yes, people do astral project. That does happen. Buddhist monks talk about the astral projection and creating an other of themselves. But it is independent of itself and what it spawns off from it. It's almost like a homunculus spiritually that can literally gain a consciousness, become its own entity, and actually have a flesh to it. And it can become extremely volatile and dangerous. There have been a lot of people who've had this happen. But I don't believe that it's really astral projection. I believe that this tulpa can actually be made as a thought form, and it can come from the creativity of our own mind. So I do believe that. That's what I believe. And Abe, what are your thoughts on this? The Bloody Mary, is it real?
Well, I know that when you break a mirror, that you're supposed to pray over it. An old mirror broke, and if somebody's dabbling in something, maybe something is going into the mirror. And I think my uncle might have been dabbling on something, and he literally grabbed me and threw me out of there. The mirror broke by itself. So he whatever was coming out of the mirror, he like started praying or fighting against it or whatever. But I've witnessed something like that. So, and I'm not talking about Bloody Mary. There was this. I was at a party, and my mother and the woman were they were praying for somebody in a room, which was like an outside house, was a big room, and I guess they were praying for people spiritually there. And I was told not to go in there when they came out, but I didn't know what it was about. I went in there, because I was a hard-headed kid. That's why I get my whoopings. I went in there and I closed the door, and there was nothing but mirrors everywhere. There were mirrors on the walls. And as I'm looking, I've been spiritually gifted all my life. I start seeing this dark shadow figures, demonic figures looking, calling me towards the mirror, a bunch of them just in there. I guess that we use it where if somebody had an unclean spirit or a negative attachment, they will cast it into the mirror. So in saying that, I agree with dealing with that sometimes things could be in the mirror that you don't know about, or an object. It doesn't even have to be a mirror. It could be in a picture frame, or somebody like something you get off an estate sale, that it could have a negative attachment, but I've heard of incidents happening of when they call the Bloody Mary. I never did it, but sometimes, when I was going through a lot, I could feel a force, is what you're going through. But I heard where not just the Bloody Mary, but when people messed with the Ouija boards, where demons came and manifested to them. And I seen it happen with my sister when she bought this old Ouija board from a garage sale. I had to burn it. So yeah, I believe that there could be something in that, but not necessarily it's the Bloody Mary, but it could be something trapped in the mirror. Or if you're believing if you're believing it, then you're giving it power, and something is going to manifest because you're giving it that kind of power. It doesn't really have to be it's the Bloody Mary. it could be something manifested to be the Bloody Mary, but it's not the Bloody Mary. It's something demonic in nature that's attacking the people.
It's an invocation and an invitation.
So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do the Bloody Mary, nor I wouldn't do the Ouija board or card reading. None of that stuff. All those are spiritual openings.
Totally agree with that. Monica seems to be you're the one who got it right. Paul, sorry. Sorry, man. And Paul's like, what? Like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? I'm messing with you, Paul. No wrong answers, man. Only wrong people. No, so you got it right. And then he says here, what is this guy? What is Donnie saying now? I love Josh Turner. He's a kindred spirit. He shares my same love for warfare, martial arts, and violence. I am not a violent man, Donnie. I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about. These hands were made for loving, not for punching.
Loving.
And guys,
Love.
The Love Foundation. We're going to beat the love into you. You're going to be ready to love. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tenderize you with these, and then you're going to be all lovable.
I've done it before.
Of all the loves.
I've done it before when I was in the Army.
Yeah. I've heard the stories. Here's the thing, folks. So, I was joking earlier. Okay, folks, I'm going to get a ton of people messing with me. You're not good looking. Look at yourself. Look at the weird shape of your head. What are you? You little fat kid? They're going to say all kinds of stuff about me. They will. And I'm just going to laugh because I don't care. But the thing is, Monica, yeah, you were onto that. You hit the nail on the head. When you were saying it at the time, I wasn't grasping. I was like, this is stupid. That was like my thought. But after the men talk, then I was like, oh, okay. Now I'm thinking this is correct. Now I'm joking. She's like, we didn't reach the camera and check. My wife's at home even cracking her knuckles. What? I come home, she's like, what was that? She's like, this is for women everywhere. Bam! Right in the jaw. Like, I was just playing. I was joking.
Don't hit me anymore.
Yeah, please. You got to bribe her. What was that the day that Monica did that? Yeah.
I went to sleep with that. It kind of like messed me up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I was like imagining, right? The house looked and the bird or the bat-like thing, whatever, was flying in the night, and then it went into the window, and then it made the noises. She made it like freak me out,
Dude, that was a freaky one, dude. For real. I thought Monica, one guy, and I had to delete him too. He goes, I know she's a witch, and I'm like,
I said,
because she made a noise that makes she's a witch. Burn her at the stake. Why have you not burned?
So she's gonna move her nose like Sabrina.
I can scrunch it, but yeah, it moved.
You can edit that. And post.
She was gonna go for Sabrina to the gin. I agree with Gene.
I agree with Gene.
With horns and blue.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't want to be a gin.
No, please don't do that. And so, Paul's going like, "What did I get myself?"
The only gin I know is the one I drink with.
No, not at all.
The only gin I know is the gin and juice.
There you go.
Rolling down the street, making noises, being a gin with juice. They're like, "See, we told you." Laid back.
Yeah.
So Paul, what do you think so far? Do you think we're all just crazy, or do you think the audience is crazy, or are you having fun?
I'm having fun. I think we're all a little bit of crazy to get into all this.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, it's good that you admitted to the audience that you are.
I am.
We know now to avoid you. I mean, I'm joking. Paul's like, what in the hell?
And my wife will be the first one to say that I'm crazy. So you know what?
Well, you're going to.
I can't argue with her.
The Blondes and Booze do it too, and Monica does it too, and so does Abe. Y'all all go into very dark places that could there's some stuff there. I do it too. It's called my restroom. It's my own private restroom. I love it, and it's dark, and it's no. Sometimes those seriously, I bought one of these lights and it's one of those that charges, and when you turn the light on, it goes away, but when you leave it off, it's on. So sometimes in the morning, I don't feel like dealing with daylight, and so I just let it. It's just soft light, whatever, and it's calm. And then my next restroom, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to get one of those relaxation sound thingies that make the smoky stuff come out. I don't know what I don't know. I'm not a woman. I don't have those kind of thoughts. I don't know what it does, Paul. Why are you trying to put me on the spot? Look, I'm joking. Now it's like this little smoky thing that comes up and it plays like a little music. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? I don't know what it
Oils
is.
in it and it
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
It's a
But then they
yeah.
said you can't have it with a cat though, because the cats will die.
I know. That's why I bought one, and then I read that, and then I had to throw it away.
Oh, see, that's what I was worried about.
You threw away the diffuser or the cat?
She's like, I'm
Just to
sorry.
clarify.
Yeah. I had to get rid of the cat. He had to go. He went in the dumpster and just began to eat garbage. I left. I didn't hurt him. I just slammed the door. No, the cat would. I can't do that. I love my cats.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I do have my favorites, but I love my other cats as much as my favorite cat.
Everybody has their favorite.
Yeah, I got my favorite, but no, actually, I don't. I really don't, because I love Panzer, I love Martis, and Honeybutter's a sweet girl. So I don't know which one I like. My mom. I shouldn't even have said this. My mother passed away yesterday, 3 years ago yesterday, and I'm trying to keep a positive attitude about it. But my mother, she popped into my head because she did not like cats. And then literally right before she got sick and went to the hospital, I had a conversation with her one day. And she was like, I have these cats. I'm going to get another one. And she's like, why do you have cats? You never liked cats. I said, you didn't like cats and you trained me not to like them. And then I said, why? I always thought it was like some kind of weird like thing where she goes, I'm allergic to them. I never knew that. I didn't know why. I just thought she just didn't like cats. Mm-hmm. But she's really allergic to them. And my mother, she just wouldn't let us have any. They had to be outside. And I was like, well, what good is that? And she's like, well, they can get rid of rodents and stuff like that. But I wanted them as a pet. You know, I wanted everything as a pet.
Sure.
You know, I used to catch lizards and horny toads, and we call them horny toads in Texas. But and then I caught snakes. Oh. And then I caught a copperhead as a baby, and I took it inside, and it didn't bite me. And my dad was like, oh, what the heck? He took it and like threw it out the door, you know, and like I was like, he killed it. And I was all like, oh man, I was all hurt. And he goes, that's a copperhead. You know, and so we went to the library because back then we didn't have the Google everything, you know, the mysteries of the universe. So we went to the library and he goes, you're all into books. You're always in books and you're always reading about animals. Read about the animals around here that'll kill you. And so he showed me, there's a copperhead right there. And I was like, oh, it is. And I was wondering why he was, because I named him Copper. My dad was like, that's cute, but it will kill you. Okay. And then he always made some smart remark. I was like 7 or 8. And he's like, what next? You're going to bring a rattlesnake in the house? And, you know, my mom's like, leave him alone. He doesn't know any better. He's a little kid. You know, I always had stuff in my pocket. Like I was a typical little boy. I had frogs in my pocket, did all kinds of crap. I was always running around, doing stuff, climbing trees. And, you know, I made the mistake of taking a baby bird out of the nest. And my mother made me raise it. It was a baby sparrow, and I raised it. And that thing, for 3 years, it would come back to my house. I would see it every year coming back to my house. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I learned about animals at an early age. And so I have a house full of my love animals. I really do. I'm going to say something on the show, and I wish people would take heed to this. You know, backyard breeding is really bad. Mm-hmm. And it creates a surplus of cats and dogs that don't get love. Mm-hmm. And then they end up not getting spayed and neutered. And then it creates a whole generation. I put a post on my Facebook about it. If I'm a bleeding heart about anything, it's about animals. Obviously, I'm not a vegetarian, but I mean, I wish I could be. But when you lift weights all the time and you try to, you know, it's kind of hard. I have gone a couple days, 3 days, whatever, without eating meat, and then I just give up. But I mostly eat chicken, you know. And then my wife makes me feel bad about that. She's like, I had a chicken that was very, very intelligent. And its best, this is what she told me. She's watching right now. And she's like, its best friend was a duck. It was the female chicken. The duck. Yeah, it was the male duck and it was a female chicken. And they were best friends. And they died together because a dog, a mean dog killed them. And so she made me feel terrible. And I was like, oh man, I'm eating something that could have been friends with a duck, that could have, you know, but that didn't stop me. I just like, you know, I asked the waiter, I was like, excuse me, did this chicken have a name? And they
didn't know.
My wife's like, I can't believe you just, I'm like, look, I'm just saying.
Know any ducks?
Yeah, I don't know any ducks or chickens. I mean, like my home team mascot was a duck. And so we were told to never eat duck. That was you know, Coach Schrader, he was always messing around, but I didn't know if he was being serious. And I took it to heart. I've never eaten duck in my life. I never have, never will. Because we're not supposed to. They tell us that in high school. I'm not joking. That's really a true thing. So Chickens,
very
though.
good. I will say that it's very good.
Well, stop saying that, Paul, because now
Sorry,
you're going to tempt me.
So I work at a meat market, and we have this thing called a turducken.
Oh
which
yeah.
is- oh my
man.
God, it's so good. It is so good.
Yes.
Cramming the carcass of one into the other.
That's
Yeah.
right, turduckens.
Sorry.
But you know, the thing is, I made friends with a baby calf when I was young, and then we were taking it in a trailer, and I didn't know where we were going, and we took it to
Slaughterhouse.
yeah. And when we got there, I was horrified, and I was like, "What?" And my grandpa was like, "This is the way life is." And so, you know, my grandpa was an outlaw, and I am not joking. He was a real outlaw. And I told him, I was like, "Papa, I'm not helping you steal any more sheep." Blurted it out to everybody. And his uncle, he's like, he's kidding. He's a kid. He doesn't know. And my great uncle, he was pretty moral, you know, and he was just like, "What?" He called my grandpa Sonny, and he's like, my Uncle SD, he always had his cigar. He's like, "Sonny, are you rustling cattle again? I done told you about that, boy." And my grandpa was like, "No." He called me Josh Boy. Josh Boy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm not stealing anybody's sheep. He's like, "Shut up." And I'm like, "Yeah, you did, Papa. You stole the sheep at Big Spring." I told everybody. I was like, "He stole the sheep, and now he's going to kill my baby calf." And then, like, okay, so he goes, "We're not going to kill it. They're going to go in there, they're going to wash him, and then we're going to come back and get him." And then he just kept putting it off. About 2 weeks go by because I was staying for the summer at my grandparents. I stayed as long as I could. I hated being at home. And then we're eating chicken fried steak, which is a big thing in Texas. Chicken fried steak. My grandmother made the best. And we were eating it, and my grandpa goes, "You're eating that baby calf." Like, I couldn't believe he told me that. And he goes, "It's good, right? It tastes good, right?" And I was like that was, and my grandma was like, "Why?" She's like, "JD, why would you tell him that?" And he's like, "Well, he needs to learn to be a man." He goes, he's like 6. Okay. He doesn't need to be a man for a long time. He doesn't need to, you know. So then I was inconsolable. So we went for a drive, and every time I saw a cow, and then I vowed I was never going to eat beef. That lasted for 2 days.
Yeah.
My mother made some pan fried steak with eggs, and I was right back on board. And she was just like, "Look, it's the way of the world. You know, we have a little farm here. We have, you know, fruits and vegetables, and they had trees, plums and peaches and apricots. They planted them themselves. That generation did those things. They had a garden. They had a garden with fruits and vegetables, and they were very rural. And both sides of my family were very rural. You know, the Latino side and the Caucasian side. And
I got a picture with a turkey.
Yeah.
Is your armor?
And my grandfather would say, "Don't get too close to it. Don't get too close to it." On Turkey Day,
Yeah.
they killed it.
That's what happens. And then on the Hispanic side, the cabrita. I mean, you know, where do you think that
cabrito,
comes from? They
chivo.
would be like, "Yeah, cabrito, yeah." And they would be like, "Where do you think that comes from?" Those baby goats you're out there playing with, you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then and then you were raised that way because it's like we were raised, you know, farm living until I was 15. Then I went into the barrio, and it was like culture shock. No more running around barefooted out in the woods and doing whatever the hell was going on. And then all those years of being out in the country and never saw anything, saw something kind of one day. But then I see the Dogman when I'm 15 in town, which is another reason why I don't think it's just a thing running around out in the woods. I don't. So that brings me to my next question, because Paul, I'm trying to get to know you. What are your thoughts on the Dogman? And let's be specific. Do you believe that there's a shapeshifter element to it? Or are they all just animals? Or do you think something in between? Or what are they?
So I was on Blondes and Booze earlier this afternoon or earlier this evening, and BMR was co-hosting because Chris is in Ashmore, and he came on with a story about a Dogman attack on a farm. And the person who wrote the story was saying that at one point the Dogman was shape shifting into something completely different. So, you know, I haven't spent a whole lot of time prior to me being on to having my own show. It was mostly ghosts and UFOs and stuff, a little bit of Bigfoot. So the Dogman is pretty new to me. From what I'm learning, I am believing that it is more of a shape-shifting entity.
Yeah. Let me give you a story sort of along those lines. And it's funny because I wanted Joe to come on tonight. He had to go do a concert or something like that. So we were talking about Bastrop. And somebody messaged me this morning and they said, yeah, Joe Breezy was on Thursday, whatever, the Blondes and Booze he was having. So this morning I was driving around doing the patrol we had to do because I have to go and relieve somebody that's doing it right now as soon as I get out of here. Just going to be my night. It's how I live. It's how I roll. So I get a message, and this lady, she says, me and my husband saw a black dog shapeshift. That was like the heading of the email. And I was like, what is this? And so, I was sitting there and I was like in between hits or whatever we had to do. And I was reading it and I was like, that's interesting. So I read it. And no offense to anybody who's giving me stories further back, but this one was pertaining to, I was going to say it about tonight with Joe when he's on here. But Joe, you snooze, you lose. He ain't snoozing, but he's having fun at the concert. Whatever, brother. But we're over here doing the show like we're responsible adults, like we're supposed to, Joe. Just letting you know. So what ended up happening, she said we were driving down this county road, right outside of Bastrop. And I don't want to say the name of it. They were very specific with the location and the house and everything. And I was like, say too much. People will be over there putting something in their mailbox. And so they thought they saw a bag of trash. Now, this could be mistaken identity, but she said this was in daylight at 3 p.m. Okay. She's like, I looked at at the clock on the car. She said it was 3:03 p.m. And she said, and we clearly saw a black bag, like a bag of trash, like a black with like leaves in it, And she's like, and there were 3 of them. And she said the one closest to us moved sideways, like it fell over. And then she said, I saw the legs and the head pop out, not of the bag, but like the bag itself, whatever, that black bag became a dog, a black dog. Now, there was no standing up on its hind legs, and there was this thing did not run around and do anything incredible. It just stretched its body and became a black dog, a very large black dog. And then it turned and kind of went toward their car and then veered off the other way and ran around like this house. Now, what the hell was that? So I didn't get a chance to talk to this person, but I did read the email. And so if her story is to be believed, and her name is Beverly, thank you for giving me that story, but what in the hell was she seeing? What did her and her husband see?
Right.
I mean, I think the year was 2015. It was not that long ago. It was 2000. Well, that's 9 years. When you're old like me, 9 years, you're like, hey, yeah, the other day, whatever. But that's, it seems like, right? And time just keeps going really fast to try to screw us up.
It speeds up the older you get.
It does.
That
There's
sucks,
enough
too.
hours in the day. Man, it does suck, man. We're getting tired of this crap, getting old. We're going to write a letter to our congressman, which will promptly be shredded, like all the others that I've written. None, actually. But so this trash bag dog, because that sounds silly when you say it that way, trash bag dog. And I'm not laughing at your story, Beverly, please. When I laugh, I'm not making fun of the people. Just sometimes I say things. But what was it? Like, okay, we'll start with you. Let's start with you, Monica. What do you think it was? I mean, what are your opinions? I mean, what,
It could have been anything. I mean, if it was clearly a bag of trash that morphed into
bag of leaves. I didn't say trash.
Okay, well, a bag of leaves on the side of the road, just laying there like they do, and it turned into a huge black dog. I mean, if you're absolutely certain that it was definitely a bag of leaves to begin with, then
she seemed to be pretty adamant about it.
Well, I mean, I didn't witness it. If she says it was, then it was. I mean, Jiminy, I mean, it could have been anything that shapeshifts, right? Anything that can manifest however it wants. I don't really know what to say that could have been, because I mean, I've heard stories of things turning from one animal to another. They're like, oh, there was this thing that looked like a stump. Looked like was the active word, right? And then it, stood up and walked off. that kind of a thing. But I haven't heard a story where like an inanimate thing, like a trash bag full of leaves, just turns into an actual animal and walks away. So I have to say, I don't know. I don't know what that could be.
Go ahead, Abe. What do you think?
Well, I don't think it was a trash bag. It was the leaves. The one, it's called the one. They call it the one. Natives, when other natives were going to kill them here, like in this area, Bastrop area, they were do a blood ritual because the families didn't want to die from the other natives' hands. So they would make a circle, and the head of the household would cut the wrist, and the whole family would die. When the blood would spill in the middle, when the sun would rise, the one would rise, and the one was created out of Mother Nature itself. It can use the elements to manifest, to take form, in which I believe it was the leaves that were in there, that it could have possibly used the leaves to manifest into the form of the dog that they seen. When my son got lured into the woods, we went the following day. Y'all seen that This Woods is Haunted season 3 episode 2? Something's out there. Me and my friend took a camcorder and we were recording. I was in front of her and she said, I think I just caught something, and she took off running. So by the time I get home, she's gone. So I went to her house to debunk the video, and I go to the part where she says, I think I caught something. And I see something all in black, but this one had like an amulet, a golden amulet on his neck, but it was made out of the leaves and branches itself. And it's looking at me, and it goes straight down into the ground. So I'm thinking, in that nature, it has, you could say, something dealing with that it can use Mother Nature itself to manifest leaves, branches, grass, more like what do you call them? Like a native Indian burial ground, like a curse of some sort, you know.
That's interesting.
Yeah. What do you think, Paul? What are your thoughts on this?
I would have to agree with Monica. I have no idea what it could be. I mean,
fascinating.
I mean, what Abe says makes a lot of sense.
All those areas there, Bastrop. I had cousins that live in Bastrop and Smithville.
Smithville, full of
it's further down the Bastrop, and they will see a lot of activity over there. They will tell me, especially in the woods, especially that there was a lake, a big lake over there too. There was activity at the lake. That there were things come out of the lake.
Wait, somebody here said, P. Gene says, I've heard on another podcast that trash bag looking creatures are common.
They're called raccoons.
They called them trash bag duende. It seems pretty crazy.
Trash bag duende.
I don't know.
Well, they're saying that it was a trash bag.
That is weird. I don't know. I don't know what
bag little people. I would be inclined to say, yeah, those are raccoons.
Yeah, I mean, what they look like something. Yeah. There are people who have seen things that look like trash on the side of the road, and it'll turn into something funny. Because earlier I was talking about Lauren Coleman, and he had, the name game, and his views kind of changed as he, it seemed like they kind of turned more. I've never really heard of people really being more like, I'm a flesh and blood person and I become spiritual. That's usually how it goes. Not the other way around, but I think that, in order to be taken seriously, I think Lauren and a lot of his peers of that generation had to kind of adapt so they wouldn't be mocked. But he had talked about the name game and how people would see things that look like a stump and they would stand up and become Bigfoot. Yeah. So, and I've talked to him about that. I mean, we've talked to a lot of different people about a lot of different things. And I've asked a lot of questions of a lot of people from my generation, the newer generation, the older generation, and what they think. Because I'm interested. Doesn't mean you have to accept it. It's like every time I get somebody on the show, if that person on the show, they're like, I don't like that person. I don't like their opinions. Blah, blah, blah. You don't have to like them. In fact, I don't like them either. I'm joking. I don't dislike my guests. I'm like, you don't have to like. Nobody's telling you have to believe them or you like them or that an alien took them through the wall. but you at least hear them out because that's how we get to where we're at. And then this guy the other day, he tells me, and this is a guy I know in my real life. He's always messing with me. He says, "You really believe all that stuff that these people are talking about?" I was like, "Did I say I didn't say I believe every single thing?" Sometimes when I say this is what I believe, then at that moment, that's what I'm thinking. But if not, I'm just listening. And the mirror thing, I'll say this: Garitano, who's a very good friend of mine, and I guess Monica, he knows you too. You're good friends. But he had that show Strange World, and I've talked to him at length about this. And I said he wanted to give me the God helmet that he used, and I said, "Thank you, Chris, but no, I don't want to be cursed. But thank you for thinking about me." He goes,
All right.
You know how he talks? He's like, "Well, come on, Josh. That'd be great. You could just, and then we could compare notes about how we."
In his calming voice,
the demons we see. And I'm like, yeah, and the very calm, that's something you should look into. I'm like, I'm okay. There was a lady at the mall the other day. She's like, try this. It'll make your skin feel so smooth. I said, I'm as smooth as I need to be, baby. I don't need that. I don't need the God helmet, man. I got God, bro. And he's like, yeah, but it's just Persinger's. I said, yeah, it's Persinger's helmet. It could be Perseus's helmet. I'm not going to wear it because I don't want to know. But Garitano is a badass. Like he is, he's a bad dude. He can do some things that I wouldn't do because he's, like he says, he really is like an astronaut just observing, but that's cool that that's his thing, But I told him, I said, what I really would like to see, and I was joking, but I said, I really like to see you take that nasty mirror home over here by where I live. Take it, because that house is haunted and it's been haunted for a long time. Nobody goes there. Nobody. I said, but you and the guy that took the mirror. And he said, yeah, and the guy said this mirror, because he said it on the show. I don't know this guy. He could be watching right now thinking I'm a jerk. But he's like, I just thought it was beautiful and I was attracted to it. And I saw the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, what in the hell were you saying? It's a broken ass, ugly mirror. What are you looking at, dude? What is that? What are you seeing? Yeah, I saw this raggedy tire on the side of the road. I said, you know what? That's pretty. I'm going to hang that on my neck. I'm going to go ahead and hang it on my neck right now. I'm going to walk around with it at the mall. People are going to look at me and say, that's a hot man wearing a tire. They say that's a hot man. That's going to be a hot man wearing a tire,
Right.
Who's going to do that? But that guy, he thought it. And then he goes, Garitano says, he wanted to give it to me. I was like, what are you going to do with it? Take it on the plane? Like it's bulky, but I consider it carry on. Like, no. I can let you take it on the plane. What are you going to do with it? And the next thing you know, you're like, there's a man on the wing of this plane. Or the Black Mirror is manifesting a man on the wing of this plane. Who knows what would have happened? But I mean, he didn't do it. Thank goodness. But you would have to be,
he's got enough cursed things in his house.
He's got the little monkey with the thing,
yes.
that thing, and I've talked to him before and I've heard stuff in the background. I'm like, I don't know what that is. And I didn't want to say anything because I'm like, I don't know what that is. Because then I want to interrupt him and go, hey, what was that a monkey? He'd be like, oh yeah, that's my monkey that makes the noise back there. Like, he blames everything on his pet squirrel. He has a pet squirrel.
Oh, I know.
I said, that's your squirrel making the noise. That's fine. But if not, then you got some demons in your house.
Lucky needs to chew the face off of the little monkey thing.
Monkey thing's got some creepy vibes going on. When he shows me on the thing, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like you go to somebody's house and then, they'll have and nobody wants to admit to this, but let's be honest. Okay. They'll always have one kid that's got the boogers and everything. And it's and they come out and they're like, hey, this is my son. Hey, come here. Say hi to him. They're like, oh, hey, he's got some boogers on his hands there. Hey, buddy, give him the fist bump. And they're like, they grab the fist and they just wipe. And you're like, oh, you're eating chocolate. He goes, no, I was in it. You're like, oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, you are such a fire plug. Oh, what a cute kid. Yeah. Okay. All right, man.
I thought you were going to say every house has the kukui room.
What was that?
I said, I thought you were going to say every house has the kukui room.
They do that too, especially if you're Latino. You have a kukui room, but then they have the little kukuis running around too. Like I went to my friend's house and I was trying to use the restroom and the doorknob was turning constantly. And I was like, what the hell is that? And then of course I hear kids running off. I'm like, oh, thank goodness, it's children, not demons. But the children are pretty bad too, I had a weird thing happen to me a couple nights ago. And this is the true story. I'm not joking around about this, no chuckle house. But I was in the restroom and I looked down and I saw fingers come under the door. And so I thought my wife was messing with me because she likes to joke around and play jokes or whatever. And I'm like, okay, honey, you can knock it off. And I reach over and open the door and there's nothing there.
Mm.
That happened to me for real. And so I'm like, thank God I'm leaving this house because that house has some issues. And I'm ready to leave, even though it takes a lot of moving and stuff. So what?
Mm-hmm.
Don't care. It is what it is, you know, but that freaked me out. But, you know, it's everybody knows that you got to be polite, whatever. But I can't imagine what somebody would see in that mirror and go like, this is pretty. I'm going to take it with me. Unless you want it, Chris. You want the mirror, you know? He said, oh, no, I'm good. I'm full. I don't want any mirrors. I've eaten all day. I mean, did you hear what I said? It's a mirror, boy. Oh, no, a mirror. No, I've looked at myself all day on my phone. I'm good. And what do you tell this person?
Yeah.
What are you seeing?
I don't want your creepy mirror.
So the guy, you know, the expense of him maybe thinking I'm a jerk or whatever, but I just thought it was weird. I mean, I wouldn't take something like that and put it in my house.
Heck
So you
no.
can be cursed. Even the most ardent atheist, non-spiritual believing persons don't want to take a chance.
Yeah.
You know, like what if, you know, like why would you take that and put it in your house? And it's dangerous looking. It's all jaggedy. Is that a word? Jaggedy? I don't know. But anyways, that's it for me tonight, folks. Thank you for tuning in. That's pretty much it. I just, you know, what do you think, Paul? Did you have a good time? Did you have
I
fun?
did. I learned a lot. It's been very fun. I enjoyed it here.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Now you know how a dysfunctional podcast exists.
I don't like a dysfunctional
I'm
family. Yeah.
He's like, I'm from a dysfunctional family. I'm okay. I'm good. Yeah. And so hopefully this doesn't hurt your credibility in the community. I don't know what your standing is or what you're trying to do. But they're
I've
gonna
actually
be like,
lost 5 subscribers tonight.
he goes there for a job interview and they always do they always come in, they always wear glasses and they're like, Mr. Anthony,
Yeah.
let's just hear on your application that you're a ghost hunter. And then they're writing something down. You're like, what is that? It looks like he's writing an X. That's not good. What else do you do here? What was your past job here? Oh, you're a meat market person. Me and my wife are vegan. And they're like, oh, and last but not least, you were on Paranoid. What is this? Paranormal Round Table. Oh, you know what? In after lunch, we will talk. And then you come back in, you sit down, and they were like, Mr. Anthony, I had the extreme displeasure of watching 20 minutes of this Paranormal Round Table. And I will say that man that sits there and babbles for 3 hours ad nauseum has got to be one of the most mentally unstable human beings that I have ever had the displeasure on this earth to lay my eyes on. And the words coming from his mouth made my eardrums bleed. Did you see this? Do you see the dried blood? And then you walk into my establishment and ask for employment. No, sir. There is still some sanity left in this world. Now you take your inglorious and shabby self and leave my office and my facility and don't ever come back. The police are here to escort you off the property and give you a criminal trespass warning that you will never set foot on my property again. Good day to you, sir.
You know, I've actually had a job interview just like that.
It was called Burger King. It didn't work out. I was in the restroom. I made a big mess. It was a whole thing. I don't want to talk about it. You know,
I was in the restroom right now, and I said Blood Mary twice. I didn't say it the third time.
Don't say it. Don't do it. So Paul, if that happens to you, you call me up, and I will give you a job. Okay.
With okay. No.
Construction or security, whatever you want to do, I can get you a job doing it. But not meat. We don't do meat, but I can do that other stuff. I can do that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Paul's like, what in the hell? Okay, folks, we had a good time tonight. Thank you to my co-host / guest, Paul. Anthony, tell them where they can find you. Where do they find you?
YouTube, Paranormal Among Us. You can also find me on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Those are new right now. But I'm on my second season on YouTube, having a great time, meeting all kinds of great people.
Awesome.
And just having a fun time with it. I love it.
And now that you're associated with me, the fun
I will be going back to sports. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
They're going to email you. We liked you until you went on with the Dark Lord.
And now I got to find a new job too. No.
They do not know the power of our side. That's the problem. They don't know. But Monica says she's going to be jumping on with Tex. I'm just going to stay on then and just, folks, what do y'all want to talk about?
He just sent me a text. He's like, anybody want to do a late night show? And the last time I said no, he was on there by himself. And he got into his own head and people started asking him.
He was drinking the liquid LSD again?
They were like, are you okay, man? You seem kind of down. You're really intense tonight. Is everything okay?
Tex is a great guy, man. He really is. He gets in his head, but he's a very smart guy. He is. He's very smart. And then you got Abe over there. Abe does the overnight thing too. I'd love to, but I'm over there trying to stop raccoons from changing into trash bags. You know, you got to stop all these explosions, folks. The raccoons are just blowing up. They're crazy. Dude, I literally, this is a funny one. I'll leave you with this. I went into look in a trash can one time, and there were 2 raccoons that had eaten so much masa. You know, the masa, from the tamales. And it was in the back of a place called La Hacienda that here's in Austin. And so I go in there and I'm like, what is that? And I see these 2 tecuaches, like whatever, like what's a bird? Possum, but we also call it raccoons, whatever.
Yeah.
Like little furry, whatever. We just say it kind of as a slang, as tecuache,
Tecuaches.
Yeah. So you go in there and I said, mira, tecuaches aquí, right here in the trash can, whatever. Basuro, as they say in Spanish. And I hear this noise, like, and I opened the thing and I was like, oh man. And there was one of them laying there and he was like, Gil, man, he was so full. His little belly was like, he was scratching his belly. He looked up, he's like, and what? You gonna leave that door open? You better close it. He didn't say that, but you know what I'm saying. He looked at me like he was going to say that. But I was like, oh, that's cute. And they were so stuffed. And so I just closed it. I said, y'all have fun with that. So folks, for that, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you to everybody that tuned in and listened to us talk, especially my guest, Paul Anthony. Go check him out. He's an up-and-comer. You just hit 500, right?
Close. Yeah, I have fireworks. Yeah. Come to my channel. We'll have fireworks.
There you go. After the June, we're going to have a new guy that we've hired. He's working for us now, and he's going to take our show to the next level. He has shown me his portfolio, which is pretty badass. And what he has done is take production level to another level for other people. And I want him to do that for us so that we can, we can take it to the next level. That's what I want. I want to get it bigger. Abe, you got to come in and let this guy do some work, help you out. I'll do it for you for free. You're a good friend of mine. You come down, we eat dinner, help you do what you got to do and get your show going, whatever. I hope you guys go to the top. I've said this before and I say it again. Why be jealous of people? I don't understand that. I've noticed that. People start getting up to a certain point. Somebody said expanded perspectives. I love those guys. Kyle and Cam, good friends of mine, great guys. I need to get them on the show. But the thing is, what are you rolling your eyes for, Monica? What are you rolling?
I'm reading the comment. They want me to do the balloon thing because I've got an apple, and if I do
then you need to do it. Do what the
there.
Do the balloon thing, whatever that is. Do your thing. And there you go. You got all kinds.
I'll do the ducky thing.
See, I don't have a thing. I'm just going to do this to ward off all the evil right here. You people doing all this magic.
Josh, that just didn't sound good. You don't have a thing. That just doesn't sound good.
I'll find a thing. I'll do something.
I got minerals around my neck. Watch out. And I just playing. And my wrist.
So everybody's got a thing. But I hope that you guys get to the top because I tell people all the time, if your friends are doing well and they're, then you're there. You know these people. Why would you want to hamstring people? Don't do that. That is bad. Always promote your friends and be respectful of your friends. Always do that. Okay? Always do that. And if people respectful to me, I'm respectful of them. I've been friends with some of these people for years. and you try not to step on people's toes. I did it last Monday because I had to get that out with Juan Arturo Mata because it was the cult thing and all that. So my apologies to Tex. I've said it before. I apologize to that. I won't do it again if I can help it. I don't like to step on people's toes. But yeah, we have a lot of work to do. Paranormal Roundtable, we have a lot of shows to do. You froze up. It looked like you were falling asleep there, Paul, because your thing froze up.
Oh, it did?
He's like, man, this guy talks so much, I fell asleep. No. But we love you. We love you. Here are the paratroopers. We want you to succeed. We want you to do well. PRT. I want to be known as a guy who will help others, not somebody who will drag you down and be mean and say whatever. These people are lying when they say all this crap. They're lying because that's not who I am. Maybe that because of them and the things that they do, but who plots and schemes like that? Just waiting to say something negative. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let's help each other and let's all get to the top together because together we can come up with the answers to these things. Maybe one day we'll know what the hell changes from a trash bag into something. I don't know what that is, For right now, we don't. But thank you to my guests. I'm going to let you run one by one. I'm going to let go Monica so she can go and get on the show with Tex. That's a good thing. You're going to go help Tex out. Y'all go show him some love. Do what you got to do. All right, Monica, I'll see you next Friday.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bye-bye. Abe, I'm going to let you run. Thank you for showing up and keep doing what you're doing and fighting the good fight. Your show's awesome, brother. I love it.
Thank you, brother.
I'll see you.
Night, Abe.
And you, Paul, what do you think? Did you have a good time? Was it fun?
I did. I loved it. I did. I've watched your show for a while now. I've heard nothing but fantastic stuff from Krista and Brandy and BMR and Tex. And I am very honored to be here right now.
Well, and I appreciate you showing up and coming on.
I have to tell you though, when I woke up this morning, your wife had sent me a message that you were asking if I could come on the show tonight. There was, for 1 second, I thought, I got to travel to Ashmore early Saturday morning. Maybe I shouldn't. But then I'm like, no, I can't do that. When Josh asks you to do something, yes, you do it. And I'm very happy that I am here. I am very happy that I am here.
Did she send you the message, the standard message, you will join us or die? No.
She did. Yeah, she did.
Oh, well, but it had balloons and cookies.
It had candles.
You noticed,
didn't have balloons, it had candles.
Notice that. It did say join us or die. But it did say it in Vader's voice, and it was very ominous. But we have cookies and scented candles.
Where are the cookies at? Where are the cookies at?
Well, they're cookies of the mind, Paul. You ask too many questions. You're not at that level yet. Once you get to a certain level, you'll understand.
Okay. I am sorry.
Don't apologize. I'll see you, Paul, and let them know once again where to find you.
I forgot the name of my show. Jeez. Paranormal Among Us. I almost said Paranormal Roundtable. Paranormal Among Us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as well. I also want to plug, if you don't mind, tomorrow night, come on over to my show. We're going to do a live ghost hunt while we're out at Ashmore. Krista from Blondes and Booze are going to be there. A whole bunch of other people are going to be there. It's going to be a great time, and we're going to just come out and watch. It'll be great.
Yeah. What time is that?
I will be on at 7:00. So watch from 7 to 8. So then you can come back over here. But then all night we're going to have, stuff. BMR is going to be on at 11, and he's going to be live with Krista, and I'll probably pop on there. But it's going to be a great time.
Cool. So y'all check that out, folks. All right, Paul, we'll see you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Good night, man.
You too. Thank you.
So that was Paul Anthony. He's a good guy. I enjoyed talking to him earlier today. He looks young, doesn't he? He looks young. He doesn't look like his age. But, here's what I'm going to tell you. Tomorrow night, let's get ready to rumble. Rob Yox advertised it early. He's got a lot to say. He's going to talk about it tomorrow on the show. Not everybody is going to like what's said. Not everybody's going to enjoy it. Everybody's going to have their own opinions. But we had 700 people in the chat on Rumble last Saturday. So we'll see what happens. Get ready to rumble. Go to Rumble, folks, because that's where we're at, because we have a lot of freedom of speech there. We're going to be able to talk about some things. Thank you for everybody that showed up. Thank you to those that donated, especially Venture Security. I mean, that guy, that's amazing. You gave me that much help. That just, we could definitely use it because we are trying to do multiple things, and we are going to have, now it's not cheap. We're going to have to pay this guy. He's done work for people around the world. He's been to Israel. He's been to India. This guy has done work for multiple people up in New York City. And I'm actually glad that I met this guy. Nothing happens by accident. And so, it is an amazing thing. He's going to Alaska for 11 days or something like that. And, or no, 12 days. And then he's going to come back. And when he comes back, he's going to get started working and helping us build this show, and the production value is going to go up. He does animation. He's going to do, he's going to try and do some for the music. Paranormal Sound Table. Please go and subscribe to Paranormal Sound Table. We need some help over there. We need some people to subscribe, please. We're not going to cuss a whole bunch, Amy. I just had to get it out of my system because I had a lot of pent up anger, but I'm not going to do that. And so what we're going to do, we're going to talk about some truths that are kind of a little uncomfortable, but it has to be said. I'm not a sellout, so I'm not going to sit up here and blow smoke and lie to you. So we got to say what we got to say. But when this guy comes, I feel confident that we are going to take it to the next level. He's going to make some videos about some stuff, and then he's going to do some shorts. He's going to help Anthony, and together they're going to take us where we need to be. Because you are a part of this family. You're with us, folks. You are paratroopers. And wherever I go, and get this, I have been so busy, I have not even gone and done what I need to do with my syndication. The guy's like, hey, call me. And I'm just like, I am so sorry. My apologies. I just have a lot going on. But I got a lot I need to do. But right now, I got to take care of business for my business partner. Okay. I want to help him make sure that his end of the business doesn't go down. What kind of person would I be if I didn't help him? That's what we need to do, is help people. All right, folks. We love you. Pray for my voice doesn't go out. Thank you for tuning in, everybody, and good night.